Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting Friday night here at the APL. I am Elsa the Queen with you again, but this time I'm joined by a new color caster hitting the desk, and it is Banana Bread. What is going on, Banana Bread? Thanks for joining us for this series.
Well, it's always a great day for League of Legends. Y'all saw me casting AML. I'm back again for APL. So far, we're in week 7 of the APL, the last week, best of threes once again. So we're gonna see. This is a battle between the second and the third seed in this group. So right now, second seed is locked in, but this kind of game, it's still, you still want to play. It's a battle between the top teams of this division, so it's definitely going to be very interesting to see how it will go.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, kind of regardless of the records or anything like that, it's going to be important for momentum going into those playoffs. You definitely don't want to go into it getting slammed. But as you said, we got Big Duck, Entourage on the blue side, taking on Conduit Esports, Phoenix on the red side, and they are just finishing up the bans there. So we can switch on over to the draft and see what they are taking away. So far, it looks like probably primarily some bot lane picks taken away with the Aphelios and Karma, although Karma a lot of times in the mid lane right now. And then on the other side, Senna and Zyra banned away so far. So, we know that Senna really, really strong. Smolder was hovered as a previous ban, going to be taken away. So thankfully, no Smolder in this one.
Yeah, right now, people are just going to take advantage of that Smolder just because it is going to get absolutely gutted next patch.
Right.
But everything else is pretty standard except for the Aphelios and the Zyra both are targeted bans, but everything else is pretty meta right now. So first pick for the blue side is going to be interesting because there's a lot of power picks left open here. So we're going to see stuff like the Caitlyn is still up, the Ashe is up, mid lane plays a ton of Diana, mostly assassins, and we're just immediately going to see that Ashe locked in, very staple blind pick here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be that Ashe. We're primarily see it, of course, in the support role right now, I feel like, but always that flexibility, especially in these levels of play. It's kind of more about the execution and not getting the absolute, perfect draft necessarily. But we'll see what CPX wants to do in response here. Looks like the Misfortune, speaking of not necessarily always the highest priority champions, that one is going to get locked in for CPX. And we'll see what they want to pair alongside it in this bot lane, presuming that one's going to go to the AD carry role. But again, you never know.
What's interesting is Not So Dark is not a support main. He is an ADC main. So I would not doubt if that would be Misfortune support. So we're going to see the Rel here. So again, we have a lot of quote unquote flex picks here, but and also considering the fact that this is like a Emerald 4 and below league, anything can really happen. We always see a lot of crazy shenanigans here, but it doesn't look like they play a lot of Rel in the support role. In jungle, it did get nerfed a little bit because they changed how the Q interaction does go with the grubs. So it is going to be interesting to see where that will go as we see the Blitzcrank locked in here blind.
All right. Well, no matter where the Misfortune is going in the bot lane, it probably is going to stay down in that bot lane. And either way, Blitzcrank is going to take advantage of the lack of mobility there. It will be interesting now, though, to see Banana Bread if they can flex this Rel into the jungle, because if so, they could try to draft something that could kind of punish this Blitzcrank in lane, because if if he's not able to land those hooks, we know he can get pretty poked out early on. And it looks like Wukong gonna be the pickup here, possibly for the jungle here for Big Duck Entourage. And here in the APL, we actually have seen a bit of a resurgence of Wukong as a pick in the jungle, providing that really solid engage. If nothing else, he still always can press R once he has it.
Wukong did get buffed last patch to his passive, so it stacks a lot faster, which does so much better in those early skirmishes. As we see the Ahri just immediately locked in for that R3 pick, so definitely something that you do want to take away. Ahri is very blindable, not a lot of options that can really punish it pre-6. So if you're not able to punish it, it's going to get really strong with that wave clear and that burst.
Yeah, and you know, Ari definitely considered one of the safer line picks in the mid lane with the mobility that she has. And now we're going to see some bans. Talia being banned away. Riot, for some reason, decided that Talia should be a great jungler, in addition to a good mid laner. So makes sense to take that one away. And then Mundo and Alawe, a couple of top laners, taken off the board. We'll see what Big Duck Entourage decides to take off last here. But so far for CPX, I mean, I am liking the team comp as far as their team fight ability here. If they can combo that Rel and Misfortune later in the game with their ultimates, always a great, you know, a lot of damage will come through, and you like to see people who can enable that Misfortune. So we'll see what else CPX wants to pair alongside it, and if they'll save that. I assume they'll save their top lane for R5 here.
So we're seeing here that Volibear is still up. Volibear is a very strong flex, and with the new Ingenious Hunter build, you pretty much have an immortal bear that just kind of goes in forever as long as you kind of have enough enemies around you. So in this instance, they're going to lock in that Poppy instead. So right now, CPX, they have a lot of flexible picks here. Not really too... they have like a lot of options of what they want to do with their composition here. Big Duck Entourage, they don't really have a lot of super great targets to hook. You really do not want to hook Poppy or Rel in.
No, yeah.
But Big Duck right now, they're gonna slap Nico in here, so that's they have a lot of good wombo comp. Both these teams going for straight up hardcore 5v5 team fights here.
Yeah, definitely. And both of them definitely having the ability to pick off members of the other team, not only with the, you know, of course, Nico and Blitzcrank and the Ashe, but then on the other side, that Ari. Always think about trying to find those picks, and Rel can certainly follow up on those. So last pick here for Big Duck, we assume that this is going to be their top laner. And finally, it will be Trundle. So Trundle into the top lane, you know, something that we still see occasionally picked into tanks, things like that. But interesting to pick that one. It could be blind, could be into that Poppy, in which case it would make some sense. But we'll see what CPX has to pull out here, because if Dabs can have something in the top lane that's more of a carry pick, it might not be as fun for Trundle.
Trundle does very well into Poppy. They nerfed it pretty heavily by pretty much having the base damage on the Q, but it's still not the worst thing in the world. It does very well. And so we're going to see a Volibear here. So right now for CPX, their team is a bit of a smorgasbord. You don't really know where anything is going, but I would suspect that would be a Volibear top with a Rel support Poppy jungle, because that would be the most optimal way to go into a Trundle. Volibear does super well into long extended 1v1 fights, or just 2v1 fights, just because once you start getting that tier stacked up, you get the Fimbulwinter locked in, and you have your what's the item called again? Unending Despair. Once you have Unending Despair finished, you are pretty much never going to die if the enemy team does not have a significant amount of burst or kite to take you down. So overall, I mean, both these teams, they have really good team fight comps. Poppy there to deny the Wukong engage, and the Nico engage if she does go for that proto belt. But with CPX, they have a lot of good wombo combo here. You just have the Rel ult right on top. You have the Poppy with the steadfast presence and the Aru pick potential. So you just have all that damage getting layered on top of each other. But with Big Duck Entourage, they have the same thing, but it's a little bit easier to execute, except for the Blitzcrank is a little bit weird, but it still works out in the end if you can get the right target.
Yeah, and I mean, I agree that both team comps absolutely have that focus on being able to execute in the team fights, which you like to see at this level of elo as well, that ease of execution. I feel a little I mean, maybe worried, but more so just focused on this Trundle in the top lane, though, for Big Duck Entourage, because I feel like if Volibear does end up getting behind, you know, that Trundle split push will be annoying, but Volibear can still join in with the team, and he's at least got the utility with his Q. But if Trundle gets behind, in that matchup, it definitely feels like it could be tough for him to make a big impact in the team, just not being as big of a team fighter in general. So we'll see if the junglers make their way up to that top side at all early on, because I would expect those two champions to be going at it early in this one.
Yeah, a game like this, that bot lane is going to be very volatile. If anything is known about Blitzcrank, you're always going to want to fish for those hooks. You really want to leverage that strength early on, especially with an Ashe, because if Blitzcrank hooks anybody in, Ashe will slow you to oblivion, and you are going to probably die in an isolated 2v2, especially in a game like this if you don't build Swifty boots. But overall, I mean, I expect a lot of pressure to be put into that bot lane. Top lane, I expect to be an island, but anything can really go, because that top lane is not that, there's not really any kill pressure in the top lane, like at least in the isolated 1v1. If it's like 2v2s, 1v2s, I'd probably put it more in the favor of Big Duck, just because Trundle puts out a lot more base damage early on, especially with the amount of zoning potential you have with that pillar. But a game like this, you really want your Misfortune fed. You want her to get those really big bullet times and start shredding the enemy team before they can get any good picks.
Yeah, I mean, it is, whenever Misfortune is on the team, a lot is going to rely around that cooldown. Yeah, I mean, I think later in the game too, if CPX is not able to get a lot out of the Misfortune, I do worry a little bit about their damage, just because Ahri has a lot of burst, but doesn't necessarily have that sustain through the team fight like, you know, a control mage or something like that might have. But you know, again, if you bullet time's got more than enough damage, if they can pull it off. I guess based on these drafts though, Banana Bread, is there a team that you feel like comes out with an distinct advantage, or that you would kind of predict to be the victor based on champion select, or do you feel like things are at parity?
Looking at both these drafts, I think both these teams are a bit of an impasse. Like, they both have their own strength. They have very similar weaknesses, which it being like, don't group up. You're not supposed to group up. You don't have like a ton of burst potential because both these teams are relatively beefy. You have the Rel, Poppy, Volibear, Trundle, and Blitzcrank, and Wukong innately in his build with the buffed up passive will also get pretty tanky later on. So both these teams are, I'd probably just give it a slightly more to Big Duck, just because they have a lot more pick potential early game if they can leverage that. Otherwise, this game will be pretty much dead even for a while until we get to those big neutral objective fights.
Well, we will just have to see how it plays out here. We are going to get into our spectator delay in just a moment before we get into game. But before we do that, I cannot forget to remind you about our first sponsor of the night, which is Coachify.gg. They're riding or dying with us once again this split. And we are happy to be sponsored by a tool for esports coaches, which is called Coachify.gg, of course, to manage their teams and players while also finding new students for yourself, which means you can make even more money doing what you know and love, which is coaching the game of League of Legends. If you want to learn more about that, you can click the panel located below the stream to check out their website, and they've got all the information you would need to get started with them. So do that while you're waiting for the stream to come back on. We will be back after the spectator delay. Stay with us. Hello, everybody, and welcome to game number 1 of the last week of the regular season here on the APL broadcast. We got, once again, Big Duck Entourage over here on the red side, and they have Blitzcrank, so you know what it is. They're going to try to go in to find some sort of pick here with all 5 members of the team. It is going to be just that spread out formation, trying to guard the entrances. And there is going to be a ward here. So unfortunately, Banana Bread, I think that this is likely to be a little bit, not so exciting, I suppose.
It is a correction. It is Big Duck on the blue side.
Did I say dog again?
No, it's they're on the red. They're on the blue side.
Oh, my bad if I missaid it.
But I mean, yeah, it's not surprising. They're pretty much not even going to look for the. They're not even looking for the high point. They just you know what? They might run something weird. We're just gonna drop down 4 wards at level 1 already. So that's gonna give a lot of options for Big Duck to look for those early ganks.
It certainly is. I do want to say that I think that one of those wards on the blue buff is a little bit of a waste, but it's all good. It's all good. Just not a big deal.
Do you be like that?
Yep.
Wowzers. Look at that, man. That's a crazy trade top. That's Doran's blade diff right there.
Yep. Yeah, Doran's blade start here from Walk Warlock here, and Dabs definitely having a hard time even being able to step up to the wave at this point. Both of these top laners have taken the ghost, which means that they definitely can get in it, but usually not quite as good for getting out of it as something like flashes, which means, once again, junglers definitely could be paying attention. And speaking of those junglers, looks like they're going to be starting on opposite sides of the map here as the level 2 coming in for both of these bot lanes, and it's going to be kind of a defensive hook there from Ghost, just trying to prevent Not So Dark from getting on top of Excel here.
Nice chunk there, but overall, I mean, it's always weird that the meta nowadays isn't really to do a tier start. Yeah, it's nice to have it start stacking up, but it's pretty the stacking you would get on it is pretty negligible.
1 CS so far collected.
Holy cow, it's a little rough because it's like top. That's the thing about top lane. Top lane's super volatile. Like if you screw up one trade or you die once, that lane is pretty much over. Like especially with a Trundle with a Doran's blade and you only have a tier, you really can never walk up as Hook lands bot lane.
Actually they're just going to take a fight here, and look at the damage going down onto the Ashe. It's an easy first blood for Conduit Esports Phoenix bot lane here. Nice work by them, knowing their damage, that they could just take that trade. And I mean, you can see how strong and how much damage the Rel also was able to provide into that early on, and that is the advantage.
Yeah, we also missed a little bit of that trade in the mid lane there. No flashes blown, but OTF was definitely hard winning that trade and chunked them out super hard, so that forces Socks to Thighs to teleport back into the mid lane. Does only have that amp tome and the refillables, but it's not the end of the world here. But top lane, it's rough, man. You're down 14 CS at 4 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't really get better, right, for Volibear. I mean, it was just like I was saying, I was worried for the Trundle, but I suppose, the reason why I felt like Volibear kind of still has a win condition is the team fights, but that's a long ways away when you start losing the lane at, level 1. So I was thinking more of, maybe level 4 or 5, but yeah, ouch. And also, Trundle
he had that pillar. That was a kill if he had the pillar.
Yeah. He used it to interrupt the back just before.
That's a good charm.
Oh, and now we've got a nice support gank here. As Not So Dark is here, but Ghost also here to match Socks to Thighs. Really low. Still does have the flash to get away. Flash forward from OTF, who is going to pick up the kill. No flash expended throughout that by the Nico. And Ari still going to be A-okay here. Ghost does not have the damage to finish it. Doesn't have the hook, I believe, for at least a few more seconds here. And all Conduit Esports Phoenix here pretty much early on as they pick up another kill. Now the hook back up, and OTF, is he going to be able to survive? Not enough damage coming in from Soul Reaver as the Wukong gonna go down, and now a flash forward from Nation trying to pick up this kill onto Ghost, but now it's the jungler from Conduit Esports left looking like a fool. Gonna go down, and Ghost really gonna be the last one standing under the tower. I guess both of the supports, but Ghost the last one laughing, perhaps picking up that last kill. Kill actually going to the Nico though.
I don't even know what just I don't even know the shenanigans. Like, Soul Reaver flashes in, gets the combo, just barely doesn't get it because he flashes into the wall. Nation gets a nice stun, but top lane, that both goes
activated. Both champions do have level 6 here, and Dabs is going to use his to get away, so he will be able to disengage. And you can see that Walk Warlock did take a lot of damage there. A lot of it was actually from the minions, that minion wave that he ran through. But he will be able to probably heal some of that back up as Trundle. And actually, Nation wanting to take these grubs here, Soul Reaver in the area, but I'm not sure how much they can do. Maybe trying to set something up with this Nico, but they're going to be outnumbered here as Blitzcrank is still in the bot lane and Not So Dark, trying to find the engage onto Soul Reaver, and instead it looks like Big Duck Entourage just understands that they cannot contest this one. Walk Warlock trying to stay in the area. And now Nation going to get rooted up by Socks to Thighs. Dabs now once again in the 1v1 with Warlock. We can see that upfront burst from the Volibear, but he knows that the damage over time would be too much by Walk Warlock. I don't know what he's doing though here, Banana Bread, because he's pathing the wrong way. Going to be able to pick up the shield. Will it be enough? Q will stun Walk Warlock and save the bear for now. Under the turret, he will back to the base, but it looks like Trundle's going to be able to shove this one in, and no teleport available for Volibear, as the rest of the grubs also going over to Big Duck Entourage.
Overall, though, honestly, Volibear probably could have won that fight if he kited out just a little bit more. The stutter step was a little bit weird, but it's not too bad. Like, we see Ghost in the mid lane. He kind of wants to look for something. Does have the flash, doesn't quite land the root, so nothing is going to come to fruition here in that mid lane. But overall, it's not like the lead is not too bad. It's only about 700 in favor of Conduit, and you see Not So Dark. He's constantly roaming around. He's really making sure that his team has these leads in the early game, kind of neutralizing this Blitzcrank. Has Blitzcrank? Yeah, you don't want to land that hook.
Yeah, he's going to be able to just run this one out, but it looks like there is going to be a pretty substantial setup around this dragon area for the red team. And Conduit Esports Phoenix will possibly look to start this one up. Nico should be making her way over after shoving in the mid wave though. But up in this top lane, what we're really looking at, these two champions continuing to go at it, and I would feel a little scared if I was Volibear, but probably has his cooldowns back up here. You can see he does have his ultimate available. No subjugate for the Trundle just used. Both teams continuing to dance around this dragon. No level 6 yet for these junglers, and Nation gonna get grabbed out. Will it work out for them? Big engage coming through from Not So Dark, gonna buy so much time for the bullet time to channel, and they're gonna pick up one kill, and you can see how low the health bars are. OTF just coming in to clean up as XL gonna be the last one to go down, and that is Conduit Esports Phoenix showing us exactly what their team comp is meant to do. Domination, living up to his name with that ultimate, doing so much damage.
I'm not sure why Soul Reaver was diving in there. You really don't win that when you're on the wrong side
You didn't have level 6
of the map. Yeah, you're not even even besides the level 6 is that you're on the wrong side of the map. You're in the choke. You know Miss Fortune is level 7, or no, she's level 6. She has the ultimate, and so they just get completely wombo comboed by the Rel in that choke point. So she gets a full bullet time channel off, and you kill one, you get 2 to critical. And so at that point, like, you just really have to get out. Like, there's nothing you're gonna get there if you're that deep behind enemy lines and you have no vision or information, really.
And we talked about coming into this how even though these teams are second and third, this game does not actually determine anything about the seeding because of how far ahead Conduit Esports Phoenix is in the standings. And I mean, when you look at it, you can kind of see pretty plainly that I mean, you know, it's not to say that this series is not so competitive. Oh, as Not So Dark is going to get knocked up to stop his engage here. And the cleanse is going to be used to stop the... get rid of the stun. You can see that between Dorado and Conduit, there's sort of a big break between those two top teams as far as their record, both having lost, I think, 2 games, maybe, I believe, total. And then Conduit Esports, which is, you know, still a nice overall series record there, but has lost 5 games, so just 9-5 overall. So Conduit Esports has been dominant. They certainly were when they were on this stream. I believe it was the first week, actually. So not surprising to see their team fight ability so far in this one. The bot lane still fighting, and in the top lane, we're getting it everywhere. And Walk Warlock surely will end up going down. Nation trying to give over the kill, but not able to do so as CBXL hopes to kite this one out in a miracle, but no miracle is coming. And it's 2 kills more for the MF, who already has 1 item complete here, 11 minutes in. Whoa, TF, you got to be careful. Oh, is able to land the charm. That outplay. Oh. Conduit Esports styling in all 3 lanes.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. It's pretty dire. Like mid lane, that was like just unfortunate. Like you really should never push your tower into an Ahri like that.
That's fair.
Especially like your wave is that you don't have a wave, as the hook is gonna land not going to land here. They really want this grub here.
Yeah, and it's going to be now. Wukong finally does have that ultimate flash over the wall, so Nation is going to be safe, but will Dabs be able to get out? He does not have the ghost, but the charm from OTF is going to get him out scot-free. And the crystalline arrow, in this case, I guess the weird juristic looking arrow, sails wide. It just seems like nothing, you know, even matters of luck don't seem to be going the way of Big Duck Entourage at this point. It's got to feel a little bit demoralizing, I guess, as Nation is sitting on a ward. Now realize.
I think he might steal this away here as the team collapses on him.
All right, Nation is going to get the smite, but will he be able to get out alive? The answer is no. So finally, something going the way of the blue side here. Yeah, narrowly sidestepping that hook, whether intentional or not.
Yeah, just like it's 3-11, dude. Like, there's not much they can do. Rel gonna get slowed up.
I mean, they can do this, I guess, which is just try to take advantage of some really weird and random sitting around by the members of Conduit Esports. But I mean, you know, it doesn't change that it is still a fairly substantial gold lead here. But there's another shutdown. Easy money for the Nico, picking up that 700G. Also assists going over to teammates as well, or at least teammate in the area. So it does still look dire for sure, but it could be worse. It's looking dire for CBXL though.
Oh yeah, it could definitely get worse. Yeah. Like you're pushing your wave into a 4-0 MF with 1.5 items. This is the pre-lethality nerf. So Misfortune is still going to hit like a truck. So Ashe is just pushing in casually. Oh, I get hit with a double, half HP gone. And then you just get ran down from there with the pop of the Yumus. So it's, yeah, I mean, it's not that bad. It's only like 2.5. It's only 2.5K, even though Big Duck Entourage are down 8 kills or 7 kills. Like, this team is going to scale very hard here. Volibear didn't go for any Grievous. He didn't go for that Bramble Vest first item into the double auto attack heavy top side. So it is very interesting. You're not really going to do too much in this 1v1. But otherwise, it's not too bad. I mean, and there's MF going to get jumped on. MF,
though, going to get jumped on. She should be dead, so that's going to be a shutdown. It's going over to the Ashe. And now Soul Reaver trying to just run this one out. He did just use his ultimate, it looks like, so not going to be available, but they have the member advantage with Nico coming in. Ashe going to be able to survive. And now it's just more advantages coming in. Trundle at this point just doesn't even have to give, you know, a whatever, you know, you want to say of choice about this. Volibear just able to take down that turret with him being present. OTF now running for his life. Utilize his ultimate already, but I think he has maybe one more dash left, I want to say. No, he does not have any.
He has no more charges.
Yeah, yep. It was just he had a little bit more of the cooldown to try to get a reset, but wasn't going to come through. Soxathize is on a killing spree, and there is no more gold lead, at least for Conduit Esports Phoenix, because it now belongs to Big Duck Entourage. League of Legends, everybody.
I don't even know, man. Like, not so dark flash.
What were they doing for the last?
He flashes in, even though he was already in their face, to try to get the combination to save his Misfortune, but it doesn't matter because Misfortune is pretty much like a sitting duck because you're just sitting on top of the Wukong with his ultimate, so you're kind of doomed from there. Right. And then after that, everybody kind of falls in one by one, dying to the Nico. So Nico has like a lot of gold. Like, Nico is now up 1,000 gold on OTF, even though OTF at one point fused like 401. Now Nico has the gold lead, even though the CS is very marginal. So a lot of that shutdown gold going into that Nico's pocket. She is going to hit like a very big semi truck here. Second trick of the game going to get secured by the side of Conduit Esports. They are definitely still in the driver's seat right now, though, just because they are winning in the objective score. And all the money is funneled into that Nico, so it's not the worst thing in the world. If you kill Nico or you just dodge out on the Pop Blossom, there's not really much that Nico is going to be able to do after blowing through that really big cooldown, as they do get that mid and bot lane tier 1. So now the gold lead is still in favor of Big Duck, but like it's pretty much dead even between both these teams.
Yeah, I mean, and you talked about the funnel of the gold into Nico on the other side. Misfortune and Rel are, as OTF is going to get jumped on here. Does Soxathize have enough damage to burst out? Not if he misses the Q, but now it's OTF's turn to try to make something happen. Still has one charge of the ult left. What will he choose to do with it? Not sure exactly which one was real, so just going to charge forward, threatening, but no kill's going to come through. But MF is really the, member that has the big gold lead and really so much of the damage as we, kind of expected, I guess, coming into this game after the champion select. We did talk about that, but mid lane, 1,000 gold lead for the Nico. Top lane, we've got an 1,800 gold lead for this Trundle. So it's going to be up to domination. If he's just randomly walking into bot side river and dying like he did earlier, it is not really looking very good for Conduit Esports Phoenix. But we got a taste earlier of how impactful that bullet time could be in the team fight. So, with all that said, we could very quickly be, seeing the MF just shredding through everyone. So that's what we're going to keep our eye on.
Dude, it is so rough. This Volibear has one Ingenious Hunter stack. In 18 minutes, he has one Ingenious Hunter stack, and he rushed Fimbulwinter.
Yeah.
When you're playing the build, you're supposed to rush Unending Despair, and then you get like a tier later on just because you can stack it very heavily, as there's going to be a bit of a gank bot lane. Flash forward.
Yeah.
Arrow.
Gonna get hit by the crystalline arrow. He thought he was out of it after using that ultimate, but the Spirit Rush not enough. We've got the a push on the other side of the map here from Conduit Esports Phoenix. Walk Warlock, he doesn't want any of this. Is going to be able to get out, but the Rift Herald is in the pocket of Big Duck Entourage, and they're going to drop this one down into the bot lane. Here comes Soul Reaver riding it on down to the turret, and this is going to be 2 turrets dropped in exchange for 1 and an additional kill in the pocket of Big Duck Entourage. So they're going to back off and just be happy with that one. No objective. I mean, the Baron spawning in 45 seconds, but I would not anticipate that one to be instantly started up by anybody, just because MF, even though she's really strong, not a big DPS Baron taking 80 carry necessarily. So they got enough time to go back and some of this gold that they've got in their pockets. And yeah, I mean, the early team fight looked really rough for Big Duck Entourage, but they didn't have the ultimate yet from the Wukong. Soxathize also now so much stronger, having 2 items completed. So that ease of execution, team fight composition that you talked about in the Champions like Banana Bread, do see it possibly paying off here.
It's weird, man, because Conduit Esports had at their peak they had a 3K gold lead, and then they kind of got a little bit too ahead of themselves, as it's going to be a bit of a 1v1 bot lane.
Yeah, will he be able to get out of it? No! Not
That
able
was
to dash away in time, and we can see the burst of damage coming through from the Nico there, winning this 1v1 that looked so slanted in the opposite direction earlier on.
That was a really clean proto belt. He held it on for the last second to get the edge of the pop blossom. So it's going to be double flashes used in that mid lane, but that's CBXL, both summoners gone. That is very crucial. I mean, he's 1-4. He's not really worth much, but that's still something that you do get that ADC, the both summoners on the ADC here, as they're looking for something in that bot lane. Top lane obviously is pretty normal here. There's a little damage going on to the rail, not too much. It's just going to be a lot of vision coming down here, as right now it's a 2.5k gold lead in favor of Big Duck Entourage. I mean, the volley bear is starting to scale up a little bit. He's starting to hit pretty hard here, but nobody on these teams has grievous wounds, so it's going to be a little hard to try to burn down these big beefy these beefy dogs in the top lane, and both junglers going for that Sundered Sky here, as Blitzcrank going to get caught out a little bit.
Yeah, Ghost is going to be caught out. Domination going to be grabbed up, flashing away, ignited very, very low, and Soul Reaver should be able to finish that one off. So the MF is no longer available, and that damage will not affect this fight. But with that being said, it doesn't seem like it matters, because Nation and OTF are getting it done. Soul Reaver, though, now back into the fight, and the Nico damage with the Q exploding. Oh, so much. Soul Reaver turning it around, able to show up at the last second here. And the dragon coming up as the prize at the end for Big Duck Entourage. And, I mean, I guess I was a little, I was hung up on how this Volibear was going to be able to affect the fights later, but he knows that if he leaves the top lane for 1 second, Trundle is going to take their inhibitor. And so he's really just chained in there. It doesn't matter what he can do. He just has to be a wave clear about top lane, even if he was stronger.
It's definitely like, yeah, Trundle is just such a split push threat, because you're thinking like, oh, I need to help my team, but the moment you leave, Trundle's going to knock down 2 towers. Yeah. So he's already going for that Triforce. He's just going to go for like hardcore split push. That's like the great thing about Trundle. You can pretty much build like full glass cannon. You ult the tankiest member on the enemy team, and bada bing, bada boom. Now you're the tankiest member in that team fight. So right now it's about a 3.5k gold lead in favor of Big Duck Entourage. They have a Drake, so they stall out that Soul. They stall out the Elder Drake here. But it's just a lot of like small positioning mistakes for the side of Conduit, because Miss Fortune, she's been getting caught out a lot in these fights. So she's not able, outside of that first fight in the early stages of the game, she hasn't gotten a full uninterrupted channel of her ultimate this entire game. So it's definitely like this game kind of hinges on if MF can get a decent ultimate off in these big fights, but it's so hard because you have a Wukong and a Blitzcrank always searching to dive you. Yeah, you need to have somebody constantly there to tank the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, and that's going to be an engage.
Okay, and we had the engage coming in here for the Nico, but there's no kills on the front end, and there's our bullet time. She's standing all the way under the turret, and that's a safe spot to be, because it's going to be 3 kills for 0 for the side of Conduit Esports Phoenix. And for the first time in what feels like forever, they're going to be back in the advantage. Soul Reaver, though, he wants to go 1v4 and go superhero play to make something happen, but it's a team game, and unfortunately that usually does not work, which will be the case here. On the other side of the map, though, the last hope will be Walk Warlock trying to set up some kind of split push here, but we can see now that Dab's starting to get pretty tanky. He's actually coming out on the top end of this trade. Of course, eventually things will start to go the way of Trundle, but he's able to get himself under the turret at the very least. But Walk Warlock, he's just gonna ignore him. You can see now that he has that Trinity Forsaken, it's so fast that he can take the turret. Now trying to go into this 1v1. Will he decide to drop the subjugate? Looks like instead he's just trying to get away, dropping the pillar defensively, and he will do so. And that is definitely, despite the really nice flank there, set up that fight from Conduit Esports, it is still very troubling to see that, Banana Bread, because Trundle is not going to quit that split push. It doesn't seem like he's going to be on the same screen as his team at any point for the rest of this game. I don't know if he ever has, honestly. maybe one time, like when the jungler came up top, but
Yeah, that's the only time Trundle's ever been in danger. But it's like it's also like
well, been on the screen even with a
It's-
teammate. I'm saying I don't feel like he's been on the screen with one of his teammates, like other than maybe that one time. It's just hilarious. But that's not what.
yeah, I mean, it's the beauty of top lane. It's an island.
Exactly. It's
But
truly
yeah,
an
like,
island.
I'm waiting for one of them to get a bramble vest.
Yeah,
Just one of them. Any one of them.
Yes.
It's like, look at these items. Is flash into
not
the
so
arrow.
dark, unlucky, going to flash right into that arrow, and actually it's just a 1 million IQ bait. As Not So Dark, he will go down, but they're going to trade the 80 carry back, so it's going to be 80 carry for support traded, and I think that Conduit Esports Phoenix definitely going to be happy with that one. But there's the Baron is up, but with both junglers also alive, seems a little bit too risky to start that one up. So instead, they're just going to move over onto the bot side, maybe try to clear out some vision in preparation for the next dragon in about a minute. Also try to put a little bit of pressure on that Trundle and force him to back off. But back to the base for now. Dragon coming up would potentially put Conduit Esports Phoenix on soul point. So they're going to be wanting to come back for that one.
And that's like the thing with both these teams. They need to set up, but none of them are really setting up that early. Like right now, the Wukong is resetting. This is a really bad timer because this is like your primary engage and like your big team fight ultimate that you really need. So both these teams are kind of converging on this Drake a little bit late. But like right now, the gold lead is pretty much dead even. Nothing can really happen. Like Ari, she's gonna get chunked out a little bit. Oh, with the charm. That's a bit of a pickle there.
I don't think that she should have used it at that point. She should have 2 more uses of this Spirit Rush, but it's not going to be enough with the ticking damage of the Subjugate finishing off that Ari. And so now with this critical, I mean, it's not, I guess, super critical to the entire game, but I mean, could end up being critical. For Conduit Esports Phoenix, they're really not in a position to contest it. Down their mid laner, Warlock, unfortunately for him, at taking the turret aggro, which means that he has to spend the next few moments healing up.
Like, look at it. He's not doing anything. They're just autoing.
Funny, but he's healing.
Like, now we go to the Drake here. Poppy trying to come in.
Yeah, trying to channel that ultimate to make a steal happen, but it isn't going to come through. And now the fight is just not going to work. If you're Conduit Esports Phoenix, they've used the bullet time. MF, all she can hope for is getting out with her life. Soul Reaver trying to continue the pursuit on that one, but MF able to get herself away because we know how fast she is in the top lane. Meanwhile, though, you stop focusing on Warlock, and he's going to take that turret despite Bear still being there. Soul Reaver trying to get out using the clone, but it looks like surely, eventually, the jungler from the blue side there will go down. So when we look at all being said and done, it is actually 3 deaths for the side of Big Duck Entourage, and I believe it was 2 or 1 anyways from this other side. So I mean, it was a 2 for 4 game, almost 30 minutes in, and you know, only a 400 gold lead, basically negligible at this point in the game.
But like that Trundle is doing work. Nobody is able to match the Trundle. Like for Volibear, if you're matching this Trundle, don't even bother touching the Trundle. Just clear the wave with your E. Don't bother trying to do damage, because that Trundle is just gonna straight up ignore you. He's gonna ult you for some health and resistances, and then he should keep mashing your tower down. Like this Trundle by himself has gotten like 4 towers by himself. So like this Trundle is an absolute menace. Poppy might get caught out. Oh nope, she flashes out. Is that good? Yeah, it's so rough for these teams, because like it's like the small things, like nobody can really match the Trundle. With Ari, like the only reason she died there is she whiffs the charm. Like you whiff that charm, it's so done, because that Trundle knows that's the go button. He's just gonna run you down. Poppy, she hasn't been influential in these fights. Like 2-6-4, you're not that tanky. You only have a Dead Man's Plate and a Sundered Sky. You haven't really been able to deny this Wukong engage. He's kind of just getting into the backline for free. So it's always like these small little missteps that don't really lead to much. Like with the Ashe, you have an Ashe. Like just if you see anybody, just chuck the arrow. You will probably blow up anybody that's not named Volibear.
Oh, bullet time gonna be used there. That is yeah, I mean they do hit, I think a couple of the waves hit onto Ghost, but that's not a lot of damage. It's not necessarily a crazy long cooldown, but not necessarily super short either. You can see it's still, about 3/4 down there, but Baron up, so we got a little bit of a dancer on that. No other objective spawning.
Oh no.
Quite yet, but now Ghost trying to get this pink ward. The rest of the team, though, is on the other side of the wall, and they don't need the bullet time to get that one. Soul Reaver has expended the first half of the ultimate to try to make this happen. I'm not sure if he has enough. Domination gonna kite this one out, and Wukong knows he is not able to finish it. OTF gonna get picked off on the backside, and now it's finally happened. Walk Warlock is here to join the team in a team fight engagement. And that's what happens when Trundle joins a team fight engagement, which is that he gets kited out and very way.
The gold's still dead even. Like, that fight almost didn't even matter. It was a 2-for-2, both junglers dead. Like, yeah, the gold's still even. Like, they can't, if any team can really burn down this Baron, it's definitely going to be Big Duck, because you have a lot of sustainable damage. They're gonna do it like pretty much on top of a ward, so they will know this is happening. So they are gonna have to back off there. But Drake's gonna be spawning at about 1:15. This is gonna be soul point for both these teams. This is a mountain soul. Wait, I think it might be a little bugged. Oh yeah, it's hex tech. Okay, so it's a little bugged on my end. The top left. Yeah, spectators bug. Yeah, but otherwise, I mean, hex tech is still very good for both these teams. To because they have a lot of things to poke it out. You have the volley, you have the make it rain. You have a lot of things that do a little damage, poke them out, deny a little bit of that kiting potential, or just buffing up your kiting potential. But now Volley Bear, he is pretty much online. Usually go Speared Visage next, even though like there's not a lot of AP damage that can threaten the Volley Bear. You would still just go Speared Visage just because like you really want that extra heal shield power. 25% is a lot when it's proccing so often with the Ingenious Hunter here. But it's gonna be 2 members topside here for Conduit Esports. Nobody's really prepping around this Drake. It's 15 seconds to this Drake. You really need to be here. But it looks like they're gonna try to punish this Trundle that's split pushing.
All right, he is gonna respect the Ari showing up for now. But of course gonna stay in the area. Now the dragon coming up. Remember, it's just 2 dragons for each team, so even though the soul would be huge, that inevitably will not be going down right now. But Soul Reaver, he is in the area. He can get over the wall. Did set down that pink ward to give him the vision necessary to do so, as my game of course takes the moment to bug out right now. And we're going to see the Ash Arrow coming through as we also see the push into the top lane. But Poppy going to eject multiple members away from the red side as it looks like the red team's going to get the dragon. But in the base of Conduit Esports Phoenix, we can see what's going down, which is that Trundle is wreaking absolute havoc. OTF now just trying to get back to his home, but instead it's going to be the backstop and the Ari dead. Will this just be the end of the game potentially for Big Duck Entourage? No, as Trundle will be shut down here. They make their way back to the base, that they being Conduit Esports Phoenix, and trade that 1-for-1 overall. And remember, the Poppy did end up coming through with the smite. So should we get to the point of another dragon, the advantage would be, as we don't have a moment to breathe because Soxathize is trying to take down Dabs, and he does have the damage to burst him out. And now look at that MF ultimate, making it absolutely rain. Not actually, because that's the E ability, but everybody but CBXL is dead, and you just must think that he will go down too. The Baron is available. There's a jungler and there's an AD carry, but also there's a base on the other side of the map. And I think that we may have forgotten about Nico because she's taking a Nexus turret. And this game just does not stop, as OTF trying to find the 1v1 here will end up getting rooted, and that's going to stop. But the Baron is still dropping here, and Nico now just going back to the base. So even though it's going slowly, it will eventually go down in the favor of Conduit Esports Phoenix. 2 inhibitors though down for the red side, and they're the 2 worst ones to be down, given that they're the top and bot lane ones.
Misfortune is full build at like 33 minutes. You have a full build Misfortune with a full, like, got that. I don't even know what happened, just because we panned to it like a little bit late. But like, you got, again, it's the same thing. You get a full channel in a choke point of the bullet time. So at that point, you're kind of doomed because there's not really a true tank on the side of Big Duck Entourage. So you can't really play in these big chokes or these small chokes because if you're in that choke, every single engage tool you have outside of the Wukong is a skill shot that can be blocked. So you're not touching this MF at all unless somebody like walks up, pops the what's it called again? Called the Edge of Night.
Oh
Unless
yeah,
somebody
the Edge of Night.
walks up, pops the Edge of Night,
Spell shield,
and
yeah.
you CC her, like you're not gonna stop her because it's super hard too. But like right now, it's a 3K. It's a 3.5. That's a 3K. It's a 3K gold lead in favor of Conduit Esports. Like they're kind of setting up a little bit here. They're kind of pushing through their base with the 2 side lane inhibitors down here. They will spawn in about 3 more minutes, so it's gonna give ample time for the side of Big Duck Entourage to look for this siege, look for these picks. As Rel kind of in a bit of a pickle here, trying to look for this flank. But it's gonna be hard to push against the Baron main. You don't really have great siege. Flash, what?
The fight right now. They're not going to find much yet, but now Socks and Dice trying to have the re-engage here, and they are going to blow up the Nico, which is a very, very key. But now look at Trundle. You never can forget when you're against Trundle that he will be in your base.
No way.
He will be destroying your turrets. He will be taking your Nexus, and he will take the game in his pocket along with it. Thank you very much, Conduit Esports. As Big Duck Entourage and Walk Warlock take game 1. And yeah, I mean, you just you can't forget about Trundle.
What happened?
Yeah.
That's a crime that you cannot like C9 somebody in their own base. Like first you see the Rel completely whiff the flash engage, and you only get a Magnustorm on one member of Big Duck, and then the Trundle just front doors your base. He just walks through the front door and he just takes the base. Like I've never seen that, because you see him teleport top, you know he's looking for some shenanigans, and he just takes your entire base. Like there's no way to describe that.
Yep.
What I just saw.
Well, I mean, I can tell you that as a currently I believe Silver 1 player, but longtime low elo player, I have seen that many times. It's something that happens when you take your eye off Trundle. He goes into your base. That's all the, like we were both saying, that's all the analysis there is to give in that situation. But Big Duck Entourage pulling out in game 1, the upset. We are going to take a break so the teams can get ready and all set up for game number 2. But when we come back, we'll see if Big Duck Entourage can close this one out and go into the playoffs with some heavy momentum, or if Conduit Esports Phoenix has something to say about it. We will be back in just a few moments. Find out in game 2. See you then. Hello, everybody, and we are hot into the draft of game number 2 as Big Duck Entourage is taking the red side here against Conduit Esports Phoenix, who, flipping over to this blue side. Things did not go as expected, I guess we can say, in game number 1, and at least one big change. The Trundle taken away here by CPX. No more of that nonsense from the Warlock in the top lane. So we'll see if it's another kind of split push champion or if Big Duck Entourage decide to go in a different.
So right now, with the bans of the Blitzcrank and the Trundle, I honestly didn't think the Blitzcrank was a problem at all.
Yeah,
like true. It was just like little small errors. Well, of course, I mean it's flat. I'm not gonna hold them to the same standard. But like, so that leaves Senna and Karma, big power pick still open. So there's no way they pick Trundle here or Yorick. Okay, I was gonna say. They're gonna take Karma instead here, so that's 2 of those big power picks gone here. With Senna again, like they're gonna gut her really hard next patch. Like they already did like a couple nerfs this patch. Like they nerfed her QAD ratio, and next patch they're going to nerf her her farming soul drop rate from like 8. Right now it's like 8.3, and they're gonna drop it down to like 2. So like farming Senna is gonna get completely gutted. So we're gonna have Karma, Caitlyn, and yeah, that's a very oppressive lane, especially like if you have a Senna. So I kind of want to see something like a Kench or something to kind of sustain in the lane a little bit more, and it's gonna be Seraphine. Yeah, farming Seraphine is still good because I think those changes came through this patch that they supportified Seraphine a little more. Like they lowered a lot of her base damages, and they kind of buffed up more of her mana regen and her W. So it's going to be very interesting to see the Senna Seraphine bot lane against a very oppressive Karma Caitlyn.
Yeah, certainly will. And I mean, we have seen we have seen a decent amount of Karma mid, so could still be some flexibility there. But okay, it's not the Yorick, but we still do get the split pushing champion in the Alawi. It was banned out in the second phase by CPX last time. This time, Big Duck Entourage, they don't want to risk that happening. So they're going to pick that one up before the bans come through. That does mean for CPX, they'll be able to counterpick, but some counterpicks to Alawi coming off the board, because are being, and presumably probably another top laner banned away. Next, and it will be the Darius.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's Alawi is one of those champions that you'll blow through low elo really fast, because Alawi is one of those champions that if you're like semi proficient with it, it sucks to play against, and you can never like punish it. Because if you try to all in an Alawi, she's gonna pop her ult, or she's gonna hit her E, and she's gonna heal a ton. And Alawi got buffed really well this at the beginning of season 14. Her tentacle range got buffed by about 100 units. So that is a very big buff, especially with the changes to the map, where it's a lot wider in the side lanes. And so we're going to see a Viego locked in here as kind of like a pick into that Nocturne. I do always like Viego. It's a little rough for the Viego in this game, just because he will be kind of that primary frontline, that primary engage. And there is a lot of burst, but nobody really there to help dive and facilitate the resets with him in that backline, as you have the Nocturne, Seraphine, Senna. So they have a really good front to back here. So it's going to be looking like to be a Gwen pick into the Alawi. So I really like Gwen, because Gwen, if you can kind of space well enough with your W, you can dodge the Test of Spirit and the ultimate from Alawi, and you can kind of just shred her with that true damage, and you can out sustain her. And then we're gonna see Yone. So CPX, they're just drafting like a really good scaling all-in kind of team fight, and then Big Duck Entourage, they're just doing the same thing they did last game. They're gonna do like a very stable 4v4, and then you have the Alawi just splitting the game away in the top side. And so we're gonna have Diana to put the cap on top of that 4v4 here.
Yeah, Diana is going to be the last pick to come through, and I think that you had mentioned in the first draft, Banana Bread, that we had a lot of Diana play evident on the op.gg for Socks to Thighs, so that will be some comfort in the mid lane for Big Duck Entourage. And yeah, I mean, that is going to be, it doesn't seem like there's going to be probably too much flexibility as far as the picks in this draft. We pretty much know where stuff is going here. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. Here are your team comps. I feel like it feels a little bit difficult to muster a ton of analysis about the team comps when you know that it might just be somebody running into the enemy base and ending the game that really determines those.
Yeah, so like right now, it's a weird spot because this is almost the same situation we had last game where CPX, they draft a very strong, stable team fight composition, and then Big Duck, they just draft like very strong side laner with a stable 4v4. So it's something that like CPX, we're gonna have to see if they can adapt to this type of playstyle, because not a lot of people really play it, because when you're playing into an Alawi, your biggest thing is kite. Like Gwen can definitely fit that criteria, and she will absolutely burn through frontliners. Yone, I mean, you have two very hardcore dive oriented champions that can set up this Seraphine and Senna for victory in these long extended team fights with the sustain. So again, I mean, CPX, they have to be able to play around the Alawi. So I definitely think later on Yone should match Alawi, and then with that you should be pretty fine, because Yone, he can literally just go in with his E, he gets a little damage, he gets a little chunk, he dips out, bada bing bada boom. Alawi, it does not do super well in like short trades because she can't sustain off of the spirit and the healing.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be, we'll have to see how these top laners play the lane out. The last game, the lane was pretty played out within the first like 30 seconds of the laning phase. Hopefully we get a little bit more time than that this time. But champion select finishing out here, like we said, not really anything too surprising coming through. But while we're seeing the finish to that, and before we go into the spectator delay, gotta give a shout out to Pro Comps, our sponsor and a game changer app for the League of Legends community. It's been like any other tool. It's your personal draft coach, perfect for both teams and solo players. And in fact, you can pair it with any other apps that you use already with League of Legends. Pro Comp stands out with features like custom champion pools, personalized tier lists, and even draft advice right there when you're in it live. Think of it like having a virtual coach just living right there in your ear, except it's a program on your computer called Pro Comps. And over 200,000 people have downloaded it, that little man, into their ear. You could be one of them as well. User friendly, and it's totally free. So, you know, there's no reason to not give it a try. Seriously, give me any reason. Can't. And so download Pro Comps now. You'll experience a new level of drafting power. Go to procomps.gg, download it from Overwolf, or click the panel located below the stream to learn more about that. And so with that information, you can do with what you will, and we will take a little bit of a spectator delay and see if Big Duck Entourage can close it out. And we'll see you on Summoner's Rift in a few moments.
Welcome back, everybody, as we get into week 7 of the Aegis Protectors League. This is I, once again, Banana Bread XD with my co-host, Elsa. As already, we're going to be getting to a very basic 5-point start here. As looking at both these compositions, nothing too crazy. We're going to have Fasting Senna as usual in the bot lane. But it looks like already that Big Duck Entourage going for a little bush cheesing shenanigans in that bot side.
Yeah, trying to get a nice trade level 1. I'm assuming probably Karma taking that mantra Q, get that big burst of damage right up front. So not spotted, I don't think, as they went into there. Top laners just hanging out. Looks like Gwen asking, or actually letting Walk Warlock know that he has autos on. So you know what might happen if you are.
You never want to. You always want to have that respect. You don't want to break that truce, because then you're going to hate your life later on and you're going to feel very guilty about it. But it looks like both junglers are going to be starting on their red sides here. So it looks like Vico going to look for that bot side play here. Possibly could look for that dive, just because these two laners individually are pretty weak.
Yeah. And here for Conduit Esports Phoenix, we've got Nation on the Nocturne, and I talked about the last time they were on the stream. Nation really was super impressive. And last game on that Poppy had some good plays, but never going to be that carry factor. This time though, on the Nocturne, it's going to be dependent on him to start the snowball and keep it rolling. and we'll have to keep an eye on the level 6 timing here from Nation, because we know that Nocturne really starts to become useful once he has that paranoia to drop.
It's pretty very interesting in the bot lane, because both bot laners have not really CS that well, as it's going to be level 2s reached by both sides here. But otherwise, I mean, yeah, you're pretty much right. It's like Nation is definitely on these picks that allow him to carry and facilitate his team. It's just a little unfortunate both teams kind of, or CPX kind of forgot that Trundle does exist. And he is just kind of doing the same thing all game. He's just going to run your entire base into the ground here, as lots of aggressive trading in the mid and bot lane here. As yeah, it's also top lane. So Lowy actually getting a little low, gonna get ignited. You're gonna have to force the flash away. No flash for Gwen, so that means no more follow-up. Popping the corrupting pot's gonna have to reset using that teleport back.
Hey, and so it's gonna be a much better start to the lane this time from Dabs, as he's gonna be the one pushing out his opponent, and Gwen should be able to get the recall now. We'll see if she has to use the teleport to get back, because it looks like she might even stick around, killing that tentacle, not sure, or just maybe committing to using that teleport. Either way, and yeah, mid lane, it looks like early on here this Diana is going to have the push. Makes sense, just able to use her Q to keep shoving that wave, and Yon just trying to pick up as much of this farm as he can, but no hugely substantial leads early on outside of that top lane, which yeah, it looks like Dabs did opt to stay in the lane here. Nation gonna help him push it in, I guess.
Very
needed him to help him push it in. Yeah,
not really, but that's gonna be a nice
blood
there. First blood going over to the Viego there, as I do so dutifully did call that so early on. But the Seraphine does have the teleport, so she will get back into lane perfectly fine, getting that tier. Fortunately, not having enough money to get any real components to the lost chapter, but Viego is going to be very happy with that extra 450 gold in his pocket.
Oh, they land the root. Do they have enough damage to finish this onto CBXL, who's trying to get away, still has the flash from this Caitlyn, so I don't know if this is going to work, but now is going to have to flash away from the root there in order to survive. OTF not continuing the fight, even though Diana's really low, but able to get away, still has that flash. Ooh, Soul Reaver.
Yeah, trying to find the stun.
Fancy feat from OTF is attempted, but not going to be able to avoid the stun. He will get away, but has to use the flash. Nocturne now, though, getting into the thick of it. He flashed forward to try to get in on the Socks of Thighs, but not able to get the full fear to channel. Soul Reaver, though, not enough health. Oh, I switched into play-by-playing. I'm so sorry. It's because it's just
no, dude. We balling, dude. We're balling. But yeah, I mean, Nation definitely winning out on that trade just because he got that first reset off, so he will definitely be a little bit better off. Unfortunately, it's going to be Karma roaming up to that top side first, but Nocturne does secure that first grubby for his team here. So otherwise, it's not too bad here, because actually it's going to be 5 members top side for the side of Big Duck Entourage. They really want to deny those grubs.
Yeah, this is definitely unique for sure, especially since you see in that bot lane they have a freeze set up there that they should be able to maintain. At the very least, it's going to be a lot of CS or drop in the bot side, and I don't really know that it looks like Conduit Esports really care that much about the grubs. So all right.
So it's so there's also this thing where when you kill the first grub, you get the, like, the XP and stuff like you would with like a regular camp. So yes, getting at least like the first grub in, or just getting like one, is very good. You kind of accelerate your lead just a little bit here, because he's 40 CS, he's level 5. He's halfway to level 6 now. So it looks like he's going to be starting that Drake in the bot side. He's only level 4 with a Noon Quiver here, so it's going to be a little slow because Nocturne is here in that bot side. But he's going for that bot gank instead. Let's see if he can get that follow-up CC, but it looks like Caitlyn should just be able to walk on out here. That's actually going to get that root. I'm going to get the double root.
Double root coming through. Yeah.
But, I mean, that's going to be it. Not a lot of follow-up damage here. So Drake plan's going to be foiled. Gold is dead even between both these teams here.
Yeah, Nocturne, red buff is up, potentially to get him that level 6, but he is still here fighting.
Man, these teams are staying around for a really long time. They really want to look for a fight. They want that early objective here. But right now, I mean, it's not too bad. Both these teams kind of slowing down a little bit. They really want to force a fight, but these teams don't really have a lot of good primary engage. As mid lane, that's going to be a nice dodge away from the ultimate. There goes Yone coming in. He had the full stack lethal tempo. He's about to go in, but no, that's going to be the end of that. But that's a very nice dodge there of the Moonfall with the Soul Unbound.
Yeah, and that is going to be the red buff taken by Nocturne. Still doesn't get him to level 6, but Viego is on this dragon right now with pink ward. I don't think Nocturne put anything over the wall. He unfortunately doesn't have any way to get level 6 on this side of the map. It looks like they're just going to end up letting Viego do this. I don't know if they're aware of it or not, but it's going to work out for Soul Reaver.
Nocturne didn't get spotted on the ward. Top lane, that's going to be the Alawi ultimate. Going to get a little more damage. Flashing away there, but does have the soul tethered. So Gwen going to get a bit on the losing end of that trade using the Ignite for the Alawi ult and Flash. Otherwise, it's not too bad here. Gwen going to have... She does have enough mana for the combo, so that's going to be Walk Warlock backing off here, looking for that reset now.
Yeah, both these, I mean, we've seen when these top laners have all ended, it's been very close, no kills going through on either side so far, but Dabs does have a decent CS lead built up, and it looks like overall just a gold lead in the top lane of about 200. Across the board there, well, I guess across the top lane board, but elsewhere, not seeing any major differences in gold. You know, Senna and Caitlyn have about a 400 difference, but obviously it's actually the Seraphine taking the farm, so that kind of skews things a little bit. And Viego, I mean, you know, even though he was down in XP before, now both hitting level 6 at a similar time at the end of the day to Nasian, and does find himself sitting a little bit ahead in gold. You know, Viego can have that pretty big carry potential later in the game if he can start to get some resets.
Once again, here comes the side of Big Duck Entourage. They really do not want to give these grubs up. They want to, at minimum, try to get this 5. Grubs won't spawn for about another 40 seconds here, so it is a bit of lost time here, but that Seraphine Caitlyn, they're going to be farming pretty fine bot lane, as Ghost is just going to be a little obnoxious. He's just walking in, being annoying, trying to keep Nation away, trying to keep track of those movements. As mid lane, here comes the all in here. Diana going to flash away from the Fate Sealed. Nocturne is not going to get... Oh, he's going to get rooted up here. Going to get a little damage down. There goes the Heartbreaker. He's going to go with Blastcone is going to get him out of dodge. So that is going to be a lot of failed plays here. But right now, Big Duck Entourage, they're in the wrong side of the map. But here comes Gwen. She's going to pop the ultimate. Going to get a little damage down, but it will not a lot to anything else here. Seraphine's moving up. Here comes the Soul getting pulled out here from the Nocturne, going to keep him away. But they really want these grubs, man. Like, yeah, they're putting everything into it.
Pushed out, but they still just don't. I mean, Paranoia is still available. I mean, it would be kind of difficult, I guess, for him to go into the middle of the team, but funny how much they want them when they just kind of allow the other team to walk into the river and take them. See if there's a fight here.
That's a big 3-man core, and there goes the dive in with the Moonfall. All to 4 members, but it won't be enough damage. There goes 2 members down from the side of Big Duck Entourage. There goes the 5-4 by the Yone. The tentacles are healing. The tentacles are dealing. Seraphine's going in, but Yone gonna get the Q3. The Alawi's gonna go down. It's gonna be a 4-0 in favor of the side of CPX.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like CPX, they spent so much time, energy, and resources to be set up at these grubs only to walk out of them and then have the enemy team walk in, and then they tried to force it when they no longer controlled the area, and you can just see what happens. I mean, beyond anything else, though, I mean, I don't think... Wait, yeah, Seraphine was there, and she just TP'd back, so it was also a 4v5. I mean, so that's always going to be a huge issue, especially when the 5th member is Seraphine. You know, just, of course, healing up her team, speeding them up, etc., providing that additional CC. So yeah, I mean, for Big Duck Entourage, it was just not a fight that they should have taken, and it was illustrated, the reason why was illustrated quite clearly for you on the screen.
Most definitely, dude. Like, Yone didn't have any cooldowns, but like, it's just the 4-man encore into the rest of the damage with the Nocturne being deep into the enemy team. Like, that was like the cherry on top of the cake there. But overall, right now, it's going to be about a 2K gold lead in favor of the side of CPX here. So But like again, this was like last game. CPX had like a pretty sizable lead going into that mid game, but then it was just like a lot of small mistakes here. As top lane, it's going to be dubs, or is it dubs or dabs?
I'm just pretending. I don't know. I'm just pretending the X is an A because it's the easiest thing for me naturally. Yeah. But yeah, there goes. Speaking of him, he gets the solo kill.
Not too much to say, you know. It's just a solo kill as the Fate Seal is going to be in the mid lane, and that's going to be another solo kill as OTF is going to be move up 3-0 and 2. Drake spawning in about 25 seconds here.
Yeah, and I will, I do want to say that this is sort of the point in the game. I feel like last time where CPX was looking really, really good, but this time the difference is that their top laner is doing a lot better. And also will continue to scale in this matchup against the Alawe. So even though Alawe has some scaling of her own, it will definitely, stay competitive between these two top laners, and they don't have that same win condition. Even though they have a split pusher, it's it's just not the same as the first game, the way that the setup is. So we'll see for Big Tech Entourage how they can try to turn this one around, because we did note that the last game, at a certain point, it got out of hand for Conduit Esports, and they weren't able to really do anything about it. Always socks at thighs, speaking of wanting to do something about it. But it was prompted by like 2.5 minutes of CPX just like basically running into the enemy team one by one. So
he goes here. He
and there goes that.
It's in the hole, and there goes the get that reset. So domination is gonna be 1-for-1 for both sides here. Fear is down on top of the Caitlyn. She's gonna get feared up. She's gonna try to run away. She's gonna get rooted, and that's gonna be another kill going over to that Senna. Karma does not have the flash. She has the ignite, but here comes Diana. She's waiting in the wing. She's on top of a ward. They're trying to bait it, but it's not gonna work. That's going to be the Q landing. Yone's on the backside. He doesn't have the Fate Sealed, but wow, he's really fed. He popped the Karma. So it's going to be a 2-for-1 going over to the side of CPX once again.
Yeah. So, I guess we do see one of those careless deaths, but in the follow-up, you can see this time 14 minutes in, just how ahead Conduit Esports Phoenix is. 4K, almost 4K gold lead, not quite, but I guess that was the height of their gold lead at the last one, but it feels a little bit more dominant this time somehow, and we'll see how they can continue to roll with these paranoias. Nocturne gonna be waiting for that one for a few more seconds here, so I would imagine that we'll get a moment of
Diana's gonna hit the moonfall.
Not really.
She does not have the flash. She's gonna dash on in. Once again, Encore will not go off. So you will not hear that song a second time, as that's gonna be Diana picking up a solo kill.
Yeah.
Oh, Yone's coming.
That is... Yeah, Yone. Oh, yeah. It's probably going to be able to pick up the trade for that one here. Soxathai is trying to do what he can to get away, but it's going to be the knockup coming through from OTF. Just farming himself up a Diana. It is still important for Diana to pick up those kills because, she's going to need to contribute burst damage later in the game. We saw how important that was for the Nico from Soxathai last time. Can they stop it? Still reset. Nation not quite able to finish it. And it looks like his next fight is not going to be up for quite some time here.
The paranoia. That's going to be a nice big root. There goes the Encore, only onto one. Nocturne has to flash on out. Viego, he's on the wrong side of the map. He's flashing in, trying to get the reset. We will not get it. The Herald will not be claimed by anybody, and it's going to be restarted up here by CPX with the Viego down.
Yeah, Nation getting pretty low there. But yeah, at the end of the day, CPX is the one who has enough health to continue owning that area, and they also the one with the jungler.
Oh, that's rough. That's the beauty of a 603 Yone.
Yeah, this Yone somehow, some way, somewhere got very much out of hand. A 700 gold bounty for OTF, who is on a champion that definitely has a lot more potential to hyper carry a fight than the Ahri that, he did have some very successful moments on absolutely last time. And top lane here, Dabs is just gonna...
No, he's gonna get the slow off. Yeah. He did no ignite for Gwen. Gwen does not have ult either. So gonna get a little healing off. Gonna have to be careful because that Gwen burst is very misleading. So gonna get a little damage down, but just gonna back on off here.
Yeah, both top laners calling it a day here, but checking back in on the gold lead hasn't really expanded. It's just actually like 3.3k, maybe even gotten a tiny bit smaller perhaps. But we're seeing some items, excuse me, getting finished here on the side, actually pretty much all across the board, as you can see, for the side of CPX. So they're going to be hitting a power spike with that Rift Maker. Blade of the Rune King coming in as the first item in the mid lane a bit ago, actually. And then also the Senna having that Ghost Blade. Even Seraphine, Farman getting in on the action, finishing up that tier item there. Still trying to stack the tier. But anyways, does have the Archangels completed. So they're looking pretty strong. Next objective is going to be the Hextech Drake. So I imagine both of these teams probably want to start getting vision set up. But, you know, based on the last game, so apparently maybe they don't want to start getting vision set up early on. But it actually, Conduit will this time.
And Conduit going to get first dibs on this Drake. It is going to be Hextech Soul. So once again, that Spectator Blood does plague us. But instead, Big Duck Entourage, they want to go for that 4-man dive top lane. There is no wave. Gonna get a little damage off. So now Dubs is going to catch wind of this dive here. So he's gonna stick under his tower, but the Herald's gonna get called bot. So let's see if they can get this kill here. Gwen does not have the flash. She does have ultimate. Here goes the W. But she's gonna get rooted up. She will get taken down here, but getting a lot of healing. But Ignite's going down. Almost gets a kill at the top. But there goes the Dawn Shadow coming through, and that's gonna be Viego picking up the big shutdown. As Drake is gonna go down, they're gonna get 2 charged with the Herald bot. So that's a lot of money traded away here, but get some taken back.
Oh, Socks at Thighs trying to go for the 1v2 here, and it is the Domination able to flash out in time. Otherwise, that would have been a dead Senna, and the turret still manages to just barely survive, but the mid lane turret does go down to the Seraphine, and also Nocturne was taking care of the dragon that whole time. So still looking
the face here.
They're gonna drop the house on him.
Oh, encore out to 2 members. There's the root going down. Viego, is he gonna get taken out? He will finally get taken out. That's the ace in the hole coming through. You're only gonna take that up. So it's gonna be a bunch of return kills. A bit of an overstay there by Big Doug Entourage.
Yeah, overstaying on their own, you know, side of the map here. Apparently, they can't even be there. But I mean, they weren't under the turret, so that's gonna happen. I mean, it's pretty. It's a different situation than the last game as far as the top laners, but it just feel very bad for this Alawe, similarly to how it felt bad on the opposite side for the Volibear last time. You know, it just doesn't feel like she's quite, you know, she's not the stronger one in this 2v2, or at least not enough to get the solo kills. And so without being able to do that, you know, she doesn't really do that much, because she also doesn't have that split push pressure as quickly as something like the Trundle does. You know, she can definitely take down the turrets quick, but, you know, doesn't have those speed boosts to get in and out and play around that vision quite as well. So we will see how much they can continue to get out of this Alawi, because it just feels like Dabs can continue to just stay and match the Alawi, and, you know, maybe even start to take her down in the 1v1, at which point it gets really difficult. But that time has not quite come yet. Baron has spawned up 3 minutes again on any other Drake, and so both teams definitely just farming up a little bit. Diana hanging out bot lane. She can't even farm, it does not look like, unless she's doing Gromp. I guess I can't tell. Maybe just waiting for the wave to come, it looks like, I guess.
Yeah, it looks like she was just doing the Gromp. But yeah, I mean, that last play, Loki, I didn't even know that Diana was in that bush. I kind of like zoned out a little bit.
He was there for a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, looking for that the boogeyman, but like it's a struggle when you're an assassin that requires like a good amount of money that you can't one shot the support Senna.
Right.
So it looks like top lane. It's gonna be a bit of a 1v1 fight once again. And Ignite goes down. Lots of true damage going down, but the Paranoid coming in. It's not gonna be a 1v1 no more. As 4 members of CPX drop on by here. They really want to try to knock down that top lane tier 1.
Yeah, Walk Warlock, I mean, you could see he survived for quite a while, but at the end of the day, not picking up any kills, and so many members being invested here, which is fine, because, you know, there's no dragon for 2 more minutes. Not much going on the other side of the map. Just a lonely Diana trying to pick up some more waves here, and vision going to be cleared out around this Baron, and makes you wonder how long it will be before CPX decide to start playing around that objective. Certainly not at least until they get, some cooldowns back for their top side members. And yeah, I mean, we were just going to continue farming out here, I guess, checking in on some item completions. Just finally now we're seeing about 1.5 items from the carry members of Big Duck Entourage, but those items are slowly and surely trickling in. So Diana, I mean, if Diana can get an ult, I mean, I feel like she still probably needs a decent amount more damage, given the, shields and the heals. Ooh. Makes it tough.
Absolutely. That last fight, Diana got a 4-man moonfall, but she's so behind that it doesn't really matter, just because there's so much shields and heals from the Seraphine Senna bot lane. A lane like that, they kind of just scale up and they're just gonna hit really hard later, or they're gonna do really well in sustaining the team fight. Gwen taking a lot of tower shots here, does pop the ultimate as the bot lane. It's gonna be another 1v1 here. The Fate Seal does go through. There goes the Soul Unbound. That's gonna be another solo kill there. The Moonfall does not provide no respite there, as the bot lane 2-2 will fall down here.
Yeah, now things start to get kind of out of hand. You can see these turrets, they're going to fall down. Top lane maybe going to survive for a little bit longer, but that does start to really accelerate this gold lead, which is now at about 6,000 gold in the favor of Conduit Esports Phoenix, who definitely are looking to send this one to the full 3 games. Maybe having a little bit of, some happy gaming, as you might say, moments in number 1, but seem to be taking things a little bit more seriously here in game number 2. That core 3 of the map in the Nation, OTF, and Domination not dying a single time so far in this one between the 3 of them. And this dragon coming up. I mean, a pretty dominant vision setup here for CPX, so I can't really imagine any funny business going down here. Just going to be the sole point setup for the blue side here, if we even get to that point.
Paranoid called down a little early. They're actually they're doing the Baron. They are not doing this very fast though. Here comes the enemy team. There's a teleport coming in from the Yone in the back. They're gonna have to peel on off of this, but Caitlyn should be able to walk out. So without the paranoia, can't really get that engage. But instead, it looks like it's gonna be Conduit Esports. They are going to look to do this Baron instead here. Diana is bottling. She does have teleport. There's a ward in the pit. There's a little damage coming down. 6k on the Baron. Here comes Caitlyn. She's just going in. That's a 2-man on the core. And that's going to be the karma getting taken down. There goes the soul taken out. Caitlyn flashing away. Gwen trying to chase, but will not go more. Heartbreaker in the pit. Why are you in the pit, Diego? He will get taken down again, but it's a 2-for-1. There's Diana gonna get 1. It's gonna be Diego going to the backside. He's gonna annihilate the Caitlyn. Triple kill in this team fight. And it's 19-5 here. 7 or 6.5k goalie. That's a root out to Alawi, and that's going to be more CC going down. There goes the paranoia, and that's going to be another kill. 4-for-1 in favor of the side of Conduit Esports Phoenix.
The paranoia getting the last hit there, almost, or at least attempting to get the last hit on Alawi. But those low health bars at the end, Diana still up and alive. It does mean that the Baron will stay not dead, not taken by other team for now. Still going to be a point of contention, no doubt, pretty soon here. But that Yone damage is definitely, I don't really know how you deal with that if you are Big Duck at this point, just because he also heals so much, having invested not only into the Blade of the Rune King, but also the Immortal Shield Bow. Whenever that passive is up, it's very, very difficult to kill this Yone, and I don't really see Yone dying and the rest of the team for CPX not getting enough done, because last time I think they kind of 180'd from last game, where they had the one big source of damage in the MF, and now they've got some damage coming from every role, really.
Yeah, that's the thing with VA or Yone. If you don't have any solid CC, it's so hard to kill a Yone. He has an IE. He's building he's starting to build into a jock show. That's a struggle with champions nowadays, because there's so much damage amped up into every item. You can build one tank item and you're pretty much unkillable. If you're any kind of DPS champ, like a Vayne, a Vayne, a Garen, a Yone. You can just build a bunch of damage, get one tank item, and you're unkillable. It's gonna be a bit of a face check for Viego, but now he's gonna sniff on that out. But like, yeah, they really want to posture around this Baron. But like, it's so hard for Big Duck to kind of engage on these fights at all. They're down 8k gold. They're down soul point. Drake spawning in 2 minutes. So with the Scuttle Crab dying there, they're going to start clearing the rest of this division. The Paranoia's coming through. It's going to interrupt the reset here from the Karma. She will get taken down. Not even going to bother using the flash there, knowing she's a dead woman. Instead, they're going to try to punish this Yone in the bot side here, as that's going to be that's a level 17 Yone. Diana doesn't even get the move full off in time, as there goes the Fade Seal. He's going in. He does not care. He does not need anything. He's a very strong, independent Yone, and he will get 2 kills for nothing here, as the Baron will start falling down in favor of CPX. The Viego is here. Is he going to get the steal? There goes 1200, and Caitlin's going to steal it. Stealing the Baron at 9 HP. The Encore coming through. Dubs will pick up that kill, and that's going to stall out the game just a little bit longer. But will it really? There's only one member alive. It's only the Caitlyn. The bot lane inhibitor is going down, and the Karma is finally up, and that is a crazy steal.
Yeah, that was a nice steal for sure from Excel. Like you said, it definitely does delay things a little bit, but it's not actually, it's really just kind of delaying the game ending right now at this moment. It feels like live to die another day. If you are Conduit, if you are Big Duck Entourage in this one.
That was just honestly just very unfortunate. It was like a 9 HP smite difference between the Piltover Peacemaker and the smite securing it. So that's just unfortunate right there. But otherwise, I mean, it's still going to be, it's only about 9k. You deny the Baron, as you said, it's going to stop the game from ending right then and there. Soul is going to be up. He's up on the table in about 12 seconds here, but Gwen's going to reset. She does have to teleport. So they're going to have a couple of Baroned up minions in that mid lane here with the Caitlyn coming through, but it's going to be priority first by the side of CPX onto that Soul.
Yeah, and I mean, it really is a nightmare if CPX gets to Soul last time. I don't feel like Hextech was, I feel like it's always pretty impactful. The last time, I don't think it was nearly as impactful as this time, where you got the Seraphine and the Senna, who, both can really have pretty good opportunities to hit it from afar. Honestly, even like Nocturne Q. So this is just gonna, I mean, it makes it just kind of is confirmation that this game is really difficult to win if you're Big Duck. It makes it feel more and more banana bread, like that first one might have been a bit of a fluke. But yeah, I mean, we'll have to see, I guess, unless there's a miracle, we'll have to see what plays out in game number 3, because CPX absolutely looking like the better team here in the second one.
Absolutely. Like, this game is looking pretty much over, but it's never over until it's over. Because right now they're starting to siege up with this the Hextech Soul here, because now it actually pairs well with the Seraphine E, because you have the Rylai slow, you have the Hextech Soul slow, and so you just have so much CC, because it immediately just, if you won with one E, it immediately turns into a stun. So you have just one big AoE stun. You have 3 Hextech Drakes, 15 ability haste, 15% bonus attack speed. So like, they're just gonna perma siege to the base here. The Baron is going to wear off here in about 10 seconds or so. So that siege is going to blow this base wide open here. So it's gonna be a 4-1 split here, but it's pretty decent wave clear. That Karma chunking out a lot here, but for now it's going to be a bit of a siege here for Grub, so get a little bit of damage. Wow, that Malignance is doing work here. Cannot wait for that thing to get nerfed next patch.
Yeah, it just doesn't, it feels like pretty bad here for Big Duck Entourage. Yone, you can see also splitting on the side, has finished up that Jack show. So like you said, that one tank item making him feel pretty much unkillable here, even though he's playing this damage carry champion. And the waves, I mean, pretty nice job clearing out the waves, I will have to say, by this Caitlyn and even the Karma support doing some work to shove those ones out. So it hasn't been the fastest push into the base, but it will continue. And I mean, it does kind of starve out the ability for Big Duck to get any else.
There comes the Dawning Shadow. There goes the Encore. Paranoia goes on in. Fate Seal on top of the Caitlyn. That's going to be a death there. Double kill going over to Dubs. And that should be the end of the game. Diana trying to do as best as she can. Alawi is still up. She has the flash. She has the ult. But it doesn't look like it's going to do too much as she grabs the soul. But the Senna is just kiting. Wait, what? That's a lot of damage. Senna, she's low. She's 17 HP. She's gonna get taken down by the last auto from the minion, but that is going to be it. As the rest of CPX, they're gonna try to end the game. Alawi does still have the ultimate. She will pop the ultimate. Wait, she gets a kill on the Nocturne. She's doing a lot of damage. There goes the Yone going in. He does not quite get the kill with the snapback, but there's a flash out in. 3 tentacles will not do enough, and that is going to be the end of game 2 as we go on to game 3 between Big Duck Entourage and CPX.
That's all she wrote here for game number 2. And I mean, definitely it looks like CPX. We saw those silly plays that they sort of made in the mid game last time, and when they clean those up, the results they speak for themselves. Gonna send it into the game 3 here, and I mean, I definitely feel like the momentum has to be heavily on the side of CPX. We will switch sides in the draft, but it doesn't feel Banana Bread like the draft was sort of what influenced the outcome of this game. It was more about the decisions of the players to not die to the enemy team in situations where they could see it happening.
It's definitely like you got the solo laners in this game were like absolute monsters. Like they had all this very strong power, and they most definitely leveraged it by constantly roaming around. I mean, 16-0-4, 20 KP of 29, 0 deaths the entire game. Like that's a pretty good stat line to have in a game that, yeah, it doesn't really matter, but like this momentum is such a big shift when you're going into the playoffs here against against 7 other teams.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly does. And OTF looking like a force to be reckoned with. We'll see what Big Duck Entourage can try to do to deal with him in the next one. We'll find out when we come back. We're going to go into a break, and we'll be back for game number 3's draft in just a few moments. We'll see you then. Hello everybody, and we are back into the draft, the final one for sure of this series, because it's a 3-game series and we are here in game number 3, the penultimate matchup in the matchup. And it looks like Big Duck Entourage will be once again actually on the red side, so no switch of sides from game 2, interestingly enough, here. So we'll see what that means for Big Duck Entourage in this draft and what they are wanting to prioritize. As far as seeing any change in the bans, we are not, I believe, here as far as from the second game. Actually, Smolder so far left up, so we'll see if Big Duck Entourage does decide to take that one away still as their last ban, or if it's something else, maybe like the Yone, that they decide to take off the board, because you have to imagine that if Smolder is left up, it will probably be first picked.
Absolutely. Like you don't want to leave that up yet until the nerfs come through. So I would hope to see a ban of Smolder here from Big Duck Entourage, because then like we're just gonna have pretty much just keep the same bans. Nothing's really gonna change. It's a lot of staple stuff. Yeah, you can grab the Karma again, but like the thing is with Karma, it's a weird champ where like if your team isn't like pretty strong, like they're not like they're in the driver's seat, then it's really hard. So Senna and Karma are both still open. So last time Conduit Esports did pick up the they picked up the Senna first pick. Senna just like kind of a staple champion that you don't really need to worry about getting countered too much, because you just scale into oblivion. So we're gonna see what they want to opt to first pick here. And well, yeah, once again, it's gonna be the Senna. They do still have the Karma. You really do not want to give Karma Senna lane over, or just like Senna Karma, because those are two very strong picks still here in the meta until next patch.
Yeah, so that does kind of pigeonhole Big Duck Entourage a little bit here, because they, you know, like you mentioned, Karma, when she does fall behind, it does feel really difficult to play, and I feel like Big Duck Entourage wants to give themselves the ability to come back in this one should they need to do so, and it looks like they are taking their time to think this one over. First, they are going to lock in this Ashe, and we'll see what else they want to do with it in the bot lane. Remember, they won game 1 with the Ashe, but I don't necessarily feel like the Ashe AD carry was what won them the game per se, but hey, I mean, for an AD carry champion, it's got a pretty high floor, because you got that ultimate. You're always going to be able to, at least able to stun somebody if it does go to AD carry.
Yeah, so I mean, it looks like we're kind of running it back with the same draft from game 1 here. It's pretty much just the same stuff. Like yeah, game 1 is actually almost the same exact pick order except for the Blitzcrank. So yeah, Big Duck Entourage, they're gonna give Karma and Senna away to Conduit Esports. It's a little rough into the Wukong, so you definitely need like a big tank here. I would suspect that Karma would probably go mid, just because it would fare pretty well, but like you can just grab your jungler here, keep that flex pick, and then going into the second phase, look to play around that mystery.
Yeah, we'll see where this Karma ends up going. Right now, CPX would be surprised if they picked up a jungler here to match this Wukong. It doesn't give too much away, and still are able to maintain some of those solo lanes, or you know, even potentially those solo lanes. And it looks like it will be Zac. So Zac, we've actually seen a lot out of the jungle so far this season, so certainly could be going somewhere else, but could be going to the jungle too. That's obviously kind of his tried and true role for the big green blob and Big Duck Entourage. Now, what will they want to respond with? Probably something to round out the bot lane with this Ashe, so that they don't have to absorb any bans that they are, if CPX chose to do so. It'll be the Rel locked in. Last time it went into the support role was for CPX, but with Wukong already taken, we would imagine that this one probably is not going to be a jungler, probably going to be a support. And I mean, definitely going to take some punishment if it is a double range bot lane in the Senna Karma, and so that will be interesting to keep an eye on if it is Rel support.
Yeah, low-key, I mean, I probably would pick something like Alistair or Thresh. They are both counters into the Rel. If I remember Not So Dark does play it's like a decent amount of Thresh, so I would like to see that. Because it goes pretty well. Like, you have this big beefy front line, you have the Karma mid, you have a Senna that you do need to peel heavily from the Wukong rel. I really do think Thresh would be very well here. And you don't really need to force all ins much, you just kind of play safe with that Dark Passage. So right now we're going to see a lot of focus, mid-focused bans from Big Duck, and then Conduit Esports are looking to more ban out those strong top laners. And we're going to see that Nico ban too also. So it's going to be a bit of a split, a 50-50 from both teams here. So we're going to see what they want to blind into that top or mid lane here. I suspect it would be a top pick here, because that Zachary could be going top. Top lane is just kind of like, it's a bit of an island. You just kind of just don't need to die a bunch and just clear the wave and you're chilling.
Yeah, Ari mid lane choice here. This draft feels like these teams really taking their time to think out their picks, so coming through kind of slowly, I guess. And so how does CPX want to round out their team comp with this last rotation? Right now, I mean, they are relying a lot on this Senna for their damage. I mean, Karma mid is going to pump out a lot more damage than Karma support, but I wouldn't be surprised to at least see one more champion taken off the board here by CPX that does some more damage, and Swain would fit that role. So Swain being picked up, and so they keep a decent amount of flexibility here. Swain bot with Senna. Swain could be going mid. I mean, where would you guess? I mean, do you guess it's going Swain bot?
Honestly, I mean, we're about to see here in about 5 seconds, and after that, we can take a gander.
We'll find out. No point in just guessing.
Okay, so it's going to be Zach jungle and Aatrox top here. So I would suspect that is Swain mid. It would go better a little bit. I don't know, because with Karma and Swain, it's kind of equally rough. But at least with Karma bot, you have the shield, so you can speed up your ADC, then get out the fairly immobile Senna, or she can just kind of like go forward, get a little damage off, get her soul, and then just dip out. So definitely, I'd rather just see the Swain mid, because Ari can't really do much pre-level 6 unless like you kind of goof getting hit with the charm, and so it's gonna be Urgot top. You do not see Urgot very often. So right now, looking at both these teams, I really like both these teams here, because like you have Big Duck Entourage, they have this big wombo combo, they have a lot of CC and pick potential with the charm, with the enchanted crystal arrow, the Wukong ult, and the Urgot flip. But with Conduit, they have a lot of engage. They have CC galore. You have 3 different types of CC that are completely unmitigatable: Swain E, Zac E, Aatrox knockups. A lot of that damage is going to be AoE, and it's just a lot of healing. So you're definitely gonna need some heal cut, because you have 5 different champions that heal a ton. So with Conduit Esports, I like their team just a little bit better, because they have, again, they have that ease of execution, but they scale very hard. Like that early game is not very punishable, again, for a team like Big Duck Entourage until they get level 6.
Yeah, and certainly not, I mean, like you said, not usual to see the Urgot. We got a few picks that we don't see super often in this one, with the Swain and also the Zac coming out. You know, like we said, we saw a little bit more Zac earlier this season, but not so much in the jungle. So hopefully it spices things up here going into this last game. I mean, certainly there's been a lot of fighting between the top laners in the first 2, so happy to see once again that will likely be the case here with this Aatrox and Urgot matchup, and we'll have to see how that one plays out. I think though, for Big Duck Entourage, what does stand out for me is that they have great team fight setup once again with this Wukong, and the Rel will allow them to engage pretty well onto the enemy team. But whenever you're against Karma, always got to play around the enemy's ability to kite that out. So I mean, yeah, both teams definitely have some strong tools on their side. As we've seen in the series so far, it really does come down to the execution of these team comps, and that's what matters most, because you know, you could have the best team in the world, but if you don't move around the map in a way that makes sense, then it doesn't really matter. Any final comments here before we go into the spectator delay? Because I don't think we have too much that will hinge on this draft here, but I want to get your final thoughts or predictions if you have anything else you want to throw out on the table.
It's just Conduit Esports, they just have to scale. They literally do not have to do anything this game until they hit level 6. The moment they hit level 6, they can start looking for a little bit of team fights, and as long as Zach is the one kind of taking the brunt of a lot of the picks, so like the crystal arrow, the charm, stuff like that, they should be perfectly fine because Zach can just heal it all up in the middle of the fight. So like a game like this game kind of hinges on Conduit if they can scale, and for Big Duck if they can get those big crucial picks on like key targets. But that's pretty much it. Like that's, both these teams are very stable. They're very staple. Like they're pretty simple to execute. There's nothing too crazy about either of them.
We'll see. I mean, it seems simple to the to our eye right now, but once you're on the Rift, you never know what is going to happen.
That's what we said game one.
Yeah, I mean, it always, and it was true. It rings true to this very moment. It seems like it was so long ago in game one. Here we are in game 3. We're gonna get ready for a spectator delay and go into that now. We'll find out where things actually end up on the Rift, and we will see you there in a few moments. Stay with us. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the final game of the final week of the final broadcast of the APL regular season. Of course, the broadcast will be back for the playoffs, no doubt. But for now, this is going to be our last game in this one between CPX and Big Duck Entourage, similar to game one. I don't think that's how you're supposed to do that.
Well, that's a bit of a fibble fumble Rooski here. It is an Ashe, so definitely if you get hit with that slow, you're gonna be in a bit of a pickle. But like otherwise, I mean, it's not too bad here. it's just unfortunate, man. Like go for the flash, you whiff, and then kind of got to have that little walk of shame back. But okay, so it's gonna be a Karma mid with a Swain bot, both running Ghost. So that's a very interesting combination here.
Double Ghost bot, no combat summoner though, but nobody in the bot lane is missing Ghost. Actually, Ghost has it above his head.
They're already looking for very aggressive traits here. I mean, both these teams, they're constantly trying to look for something. They like to kind of coin flip a lot of these plays here. A lot of them going a little bit worse for wear, but it shouldn't be too bad. Hopefully they look to punish that Conduit. They look to punish that flashless top lane here. That's gonna be a little bit of CC bot lane, but not gonna be too bad. Just gonna be unfortunately cancels both autos, so it doesn't get any souls whatsoever. But Wukong, both junglers clearing from top down. They're just gonna look to try to kind of go to that bot lane, see if they can get something done.
Yeah, and both junglers starting without a leash. At the very least, Big Duck should know that Wukong started on the top side of the map, but they don't know exactly where. But they do have that vision of the blue buff to know that that one hasn't been taken. So most likely he would have started on that side. And as you predicted, Banana Bread, we do have this Zac trying to see what he can do as far as punishing Walk Warlock, who must know something is up because he is one level up, and yet Aatrox still wants to take this fight. But now let's see, does he have enough juice to finish the kill? Oh, Soul Reaver is here. Is it soon enough though? Because it's going to be the first blood already going down over to this Zac. It's going to be traded over now though by Soul Reaver Nation. Will he be able to get away before he blobs out? No, he will not. And now it's this Wukong who's going to be a massive beneficiary, able to use the smite. One more Q would finish it / auto attack, and it is going to be Soul Reaver picking up both of the kills. So what looks like an advantage early on for CPX, it ends up being turned around and as a 2-for-1 in the favor of the red side for Big Duck. Oh
yeah, dude, it was such a good play at the start there. It's just they're kind of like so far forward in the lane, is they're kind of at the point of no return where they can't really escape anymore. Like it's so bad because this Aatrox wasn't really farming that well early. So he only comes back with a glowing moat, so it doesn't really provide too much crazy power there. He's gonna get pushed under the tower, but nothing too crazy. Because Wukong's gonna get that bot lane scuttle crab. So it's still like a gold. Surprisingly, it's still a gold lead in favor of Conduit, just because like I'm surprised bot lane is like the Ashe is not farming super great. She's down 15 CS here practically. So it's actually honestly a little surprising. I'm surprised they picked that Ashe again after how for lack of better words, how terribly it did the first game.
Rel just trying to sit here and I guess at the ready, because the wave is pushed in mid lane. Top lane, you can see a little bit of a experience advantage for Dabs, but both members chilling, farming it out here for now. Aatrox not going to be chilling for too much longer though if he is not able to get out of this one. Does not have the flash and will get sent up by the rail. Ghost going to take the tower aggro now, but Aatrox should be able to get himself out to safety. Wukong taking a little bit more damage than he would have liked, but otherwise in the river you can see there socks to thighs. Will have to expend the flash on that. Already not quite at that level 6, have the soul or spirit rush to get him out. So that is an advantage to the blue side, as some of the cooldowns are getting blown, but no more kills going down after that first bit of action. Some grub action going down though.
That is very unfortunate that you don't get the CC right on the edge. Like at that point, like the Aatrox doesn't have flash, so at that point you just flash on in, but there's gonna be a double root mid.
Oh, there's gonna be a huge knock-up from the Zac with that elastic slingshot, and it is gonna be that last tick of damage from OTF, having enough to take down Soxathize. Now OTF himself going solo, but able to get out for now. Soul Reaver going on a killing spree as they trade the first one over to Not So Dark Nation, able to bounce himself away, and he will survive for now. Getting under that tower, now you can see Dabs going really low. Warlock does have that ultimate. It's got to be pretty close, and it's going to land. Flash forward. Dabs has taken enough damage for it to activate, and he is going to be pulled in by the Urgot, and it's a solo kill in the top lane for Urgot, using the flash, as you can see, pinged multiple times there by Aatrox. He wants his team to know he didn't die for nothing, but you know, almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, and Warlock the one coming away with the kill. Yeah, these grubs are going to get found out, I think, by Senna. I'm not sure actually if Senna saw that or not when she walked by. Oh, Soxathize. We have seen some fancy Ahri kills. Last time it was, you know, or rather game one, it was OTF doing it under his own turret. This time Soxathize going under the enemy turret and taking revenge on the mid laner there. So now looking at what we've got for us, Wukong sitting at 3-0-0, not even at that level 6 mark yet, so not reaching sort of the apex of his impact in these team fights, and yet he will be set up to have such a strong impact when that happens. Soxathize does not have the ultimate available, doesn't have the flash, he's just going to get run down. And now Soul Reaver, yeah, I mean, he's going to be able, he's not going to die here, but can't make anything happen.
Oh, Senna, she's getting hit with the CC.
Looking so squishy, just level 4. Whereas CBXL, of course, with that level 6, having that crystal and arrow, but now domination. What can he do to clean this up? Second half, the E is going to land, and Swain easily able to take out the Ash, so it's a 1-for-1 in the end. But the farming champion does get to continue staying in the lane for CBX here, or CPX, my bad. And so that is important, as Swain already up about 22 CS, really going to be a sizable advantage there. And that will grow a couple more here, as most of this dying to the tower. Ash not going to be able to pick that up. 700 gold lead, it looks like, overall for Swain in particular.
Lots of damage, biting the bot lane river.
Soul Reaver, remember, he's got that bounty on him, 300 gold. They're going to try to give that one over. It will be the Senna finally getting the last hit, and now it's a 2 versus 4, I believe here, or 3 versus 4, I guess, as CBXL says, guys, I don't know if we want to take this, but he was standing on the sideline watching a little bit too close, because Nation knocks him up. Actually, now they are going to turn their attention the other direction. Is OTF going to be the one to go down? One more Spirit Rush, it looks like, available for Soxathize if he chooses to use it. Is going to dump this combo into Not So Dark, but didn't have the last option to press his ultimate button one more time. It had expired. Bummer, because he otherwise probably would have had enough damage to take out this Senna, but that will be the end of this fight for now, it looks like. Maybe.
And this, again, like, we're having some crazy shenanigans like we did in game 1 and 2. It's kind of like just both these teams kind of making these weird mistakes. And like, again, mid, like, look at Rel is literally trying to walk up and gank you. Like, you're not, it's very hard to hit a Karma unless you hit that Q first. So it's like Ahri is pretty much too. So it's like, you're not really doing too much here.
Yeah. Oh, you can see now that Karma's starting to build up some of that cooldown reduction, did prioritize finishing those boots and how relentless it can be, but now Soul Reaver is going to go low. Will he even be able to have any impact? Didn't have his ultimate available, and now for the rest of Big Duck Entourage, there's nothing to do but run away. Rel just trying to possibly buy some space for CBXL so his AD carry doesn't fall as well. Now CBXL trying to finish this one off, won't be able to do so, and he has now killed himself in the process because OTF has arrived, and that was just not a smart play by the AD carry from Big Duck Entourage. That's what we call greed.
Dude, he got 5 CS in the past like 3 minutes.
Yeah, that's not. And it's, I mean, it's a close game too. I mean, it's, I mean, this is, I was just gonna say, I feel like this is sort of the closest game, even, even the game one that Big Duck ended up winning, it felt like they were further behind before.
Oh,
yeah. Okay. Sidestepping so much of this damage from socks to thighs, will not have enough to finish it, even with that last period edge. Oh, gonna flash W! And that's the ability that you cannot dodge.
That was really OTF. Honestly, was like so clean. Like that was a lot of good sidesteps. Yeah. You sidestep the orb, you sidestep the charm, you sidestep the orb again, and then it forces socks and thighs to flash on in after using all 3 charges of the Spirit Rush. It's a very nice job to kind of stall that out, nearly getting out there, not blowing his own flash. But I mean, it's a 2K gold lead in favor of Conduit Esports. Like, this Swain is 4 and he's 4-0-1. He's so strong right now.
He's
like,
gonna be so hard to kill.
But the stack count, he's at 264 bonus HP. That he has like a ruby crystal and a half right now. So like he is sitting very pretty in that bot lane. So like I don't see any Grievous yet. So, against a team that's this heavily healing, you really need to get Grievous. Like at this point, I'd probably just put it on the Ashe because she's so far behind. What that sidestep, dude! Again.
Yeah, OTF just. I mean, remember he did die at the end of the last one, but I was still saying making him look silly here. And this time it is actually going to be Socks to Thighs who will continue to look silly, going down that pink war, or I don't even know what that started over, some battle to clear wards or what, but it ends in a dead mid laner for Big Duck Entourage. And the first few minutes of this game really scrappy. It does now feel like CPX is starting to take a bit of an advantage. And I mean, as you said, Banana Bread, coming into this, scaling is your friend if you are CPX. So I think you got to feel quite happy. Just 12 minutes in, you've got a little bit of an advantage. You can try to calm down the game a little bit here. I mean, I guess that's not something that either team has managed to do throughout the series, but you could theoretically try to calm down the game and grow that scaling advantage, I guess.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, Aatrox's top lane, he's not like down too bad. I mean, looking at the gold, he's only down like 200 gold.
Yeah, not bad for having died
like,
solo.
Yeah, for like being stuck in this, being pushed in all the time. Like, it's not too bad. Spirit Rush forced out mid lane here. He's just gonna get on out. But like, again, it's just, it's so bad. If you give a scaling comp money, giving a scaling comp money is such a terrible mistake. Like, Senna is 224, Swain is 402, Zach is 116. Like, he's having a field day. 70% KP in a 13.5 minute game. They're just gonna start this Drake in their faces. Swain is still bot, so it's gonna be a bit of a roof.
Oh, OTF though will just get one shot, so Karma not going to be able to affect the rest of the fight. And remember that Wukong does have a lot of resources if he's able to pick up early on. We can see the rest of the fight now commencing as Domination. He's so big and tanky. You can see how much damage he was able to do with just one burst of his Q there, but now he's going to have to pop that ultimate as it was about to run out. Soul Reaver trying to come in as an invisible monkey to come for the steal, but this time will not going to be happening. And so the dragon taken by the side of CPX, and they are going to get out, even though it looked a little bit sketchy at the beginning with OTF getting caught out. That does seem to be the only sort of consequence from that engagement.
Honestly, if I was Swain, I'm flashing in. If I have my ult pop like that, I'm flashing in. Knowing that, most likely knowing that Ahri doesn't have to have flash. They use a lot of cooldowns to kill the Karma, as Karma is once again good to take it down and wasting the flash, but does get the Wukong in return, so that's very good. But again, like if I'm Swain and I knew they blew that many cooldowns to kill my Karma, I'm flashing in. I'm at minimum taking 2. Like, that is such a big, like, if Swain did that, he's like legitimately unkillable. Like, he's an actual raid boss. Yeah, OTF is dying a lot. Like, he's kind of going even. He's forcing a lot of resources to be put in just to kill the Karma. Yeah. Like, it's just the Karma. You still have the fed Swain. You still have the not fed Senna, but like she's ahead. and you still have the Zachary kind of running rampant in your team. So it's like, it's hard as they look for the dive bot lane.
Looking for the dive onto CBXL indeed, but there's no, well, there are minions under the turret, but they're still taking aggro because they're hitting the enemy champions. They're going to take a little bit too much damage, but they do blow the flash out of the Ashe. So that one traded for no summoner spells, it looks like, in return. And that means that Ashe is going to be really, really vulnerable. Could even be on this next wave because there's no supports in sight. Bye-bye.
Yeah, it's it do be like that, you know. You leave the Ashe alone, like you get a little greedy, kind of staying for the CS. So at that point, you kind of just need to cut your losses, dip out, so you don't die a bunch more.
Yep, definitely just needed to head out, I think, in that moment. But you know, CBXL just decides to stick it out, and it is now almost a 3K gold lead for the side of CPX. You gotta I kind of feel bad for Soxatize. I feel like this Ahri has just, you know, if she's not using her ultimate to get away, she's just getting bullied under her turret as Ghost trying to do something to contest this Rift Herald. And now we are seeing some damage with Skull Reaver in the area. Walk Warlock here as well. All of a sudden, the fight looking pretty nice, as Walk Warlock still able to survive for now, but now it's Swain that has arrived. Nation really, really low, but will be able to survive, able to get out of the way of the Ashe. Soxatize, the next one to fall. Oh, the root gonna hit from over the wall on Domination. Doesn't have the flash to follow up, and there's still a turret there. So I don't think that they're gonna be able to jump all the way under that aggro. But now the Rift Herald on the back end should be started up. Soul Reaver, though, is spawned back up on the Wukong, but it looks like he's just going to run towards bot lane. They're going to let this Herald go over to Conduit Esports Phoenix.
I mean, it's just, Swain is strong, is really strong again. You can't, there's no real good engage to get on Senna. Yeah, if you, Wukong is like your primary person to dive in. Rel is a little hard to dive in. Because it can kind of just running at him, and then Ahri, she can go in, but like, she's not going to sacrifice her life against Aatrox and a Swain just to kill the Senna. So now finally Ahri is the first person to get Grievous. It only took 17 minutes to get it, and it's about a 4K gold deficit here, or no, 5K in favor of CPX. But like for now, I mean, it's just, again, Walk has to work his magic with that split push, as it's gonna be a bit of a gank here.
Could possibly win this 1v2, especially if he can get the ultimate to pop, but he's having a hard time getting his damage onto one target, and it looks like no way Dab's able to heal back up using those Qs with the World Ender. Might have even expired, but you can see the Aatrox healing a lot, and that will enable them to take down that Urgot. And I mean, you know, it's not like that in particular kills Walk Warlock's ability to continue affecting this game, but it's kind of emblematic of the fact that, you know, again, unlike that game one, which was a very fluky sort of situation, it's going to be hard for him to sort of 1v9 this one and find some way to end it all.
Yeah, it's a little rough. You already got objective bounties coming up here. You're down. It's still 5K, but now Drake's gonna get started up. It's pretty much been like a 3-0 Drake sweep. You're gonna spot it, you're not gonna be able to do nothing about it.
Yeah.
But Baron's gonna be up in about 20 seconds here. It's gonna be a Chemtech Soul. It's not the best soul in the world, but it gets that with a team like this. Chemtech Soul is so good. You have
so
5 champions that heal a ton, that are going to benefit very heavily on this Chemtech Soul and this Chemtech Drakes. As the Herald's going to be a pop mid lane, they're gonna get 2 crashes here. Not a lot of members here to really defend this push fast enough here. They will defend the second Herald push though.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. If anybody's going to ride this into battle, it will be Nation, feeling like he's tanky enough to do so. And yeah, they will get the second charge of the Herald and back right off. There are some pings onto the Baron, but they're not ready to do that one quite yet. Going back to the base, I'm sure they have a decent amount of gold in their pockets. Looks like they do. Over 1,000 gold for both the mid lane and bot lane. I wouldn't say AD carry, but bot lane role there. And even though the vision's being cleared out on the side of Big Duck Entourage, I don't know how long that's going to stand. We'll just have to wait and see. I mean, yeah, Soul Reaver, he's been pretty underwhelming after that 3-0 start. So far, 1-4. Not what you have wanted to see out of this Wukong. It's not his fault necessarily, but not all his fault. I mean, but
yeah, it's just like,
I don't know.
It's kind of like the buy.
It's
just like at this point, it's just like the byproduct of like the teams just kind of rotating on time for stuff. Like Warlock doesn't really rotate. He just kind of has this one type of play style that just keeps roaming. And Ari's gonna spear rush in here. It's gonna be a 1v1 once again.
Abilities.
Wow.
All right.
Man,
yeah.
I guess everybody in this game is just an Ari pro, man. They just do really good with Ari.
Yeah, I mean, you can see how little damage Karma actually is doing to the Ari there. I mean, you know, there's a reason why we generally, you know, in most metas, Karma's in that support role is that she does lack the damage that a traditional mid lane mage would have, especially, you know, 2 items in. So she provides all sorts of other things to the team fight, you know, in the full 5v5, but or even in those skirmishes, but in the 1v1 can be taken advantage of. Nice job by Soxathize not being discouraged. You know, missed quite a few skill shots earlier trades, and even in that trade, but stuck with it and just spirit rushed immediately into his face. So it was like physically impossible to dodge.
Yeah, like the only way that they come back in this game, because like with Urgot's like not bad in a side lane. It's just he doesn't have that good wave clear because Aatrox can easily match it, especially now with the Profane Hydra. Like if Urgot really wants to kind of be a menace in that side lane, get a Titanic Hydra. It'll help significantly with the wave clear. Like Wukong is going pretty much like full on like glass cannon as yeah, we're talking about the damage. Ari just got chunked by half HP.
Well, it's because she finished her second item since she went back, so
there's no way she hits this. Okay, there's a charm. Is it another?
Last hit with the crystalline arrow gonna land from downtown.
What is that? That's like what, the first arrow? That's the first arrow that hit.
Something like that. I mean, there was an arrow that flew by in that last skirmish just moments ago.
Hey, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Exactly. Try again. I was gonna say, you know. So, Warlock, though, he is going to have to try to survive under his tower against up to 4 members of the enemy team. So far able to do so, but Nation, he's taken up so much. He's just a blob man. And now Nation going to get really low. Will CBXL be able to pop those blobs? Yes, he will. Ghost here as well, but the TP to save Zach will come through from OTF, who respawns just in time, and now it's CBXL who's caught in between 2 turrets going down. Swain gonna be able to land the root, but I don't think they have enough burst damage up front to kill this Ari. They certainly do want to dive this, and now the minions are coming through. Nation is back, Aatrox is here, and Soxathize may be able to get away, but it's gonna be OTF with the last Q to take him down. And we'll see if CPX wants to turn it into a Baron, but instead they're just going to take what they already have in their pockets, head back to the base, and it's going to be 10 more seconds until this Soul Point Dragon comes up. And you know that that is right where CPX is going to be headed now.
It's so rough, this game. Like, Big Duck Entourage, they're down, what is that? They're down 8k gold now. Like, the entire team basically just took turns getting dove under the top lane tier 1. And there's like, you know what? I want to get in line. I want to, you know, go for this dive, you know? So it's like, instead of like walking back to their 2-2, they're just kind of like, they just kind of went under their tier 1 thinking like that's going to help them, you know? So Aatrox actually getting chunked out hard here. He's actually losing.
Yeah, the ultimate does hit, but it's not going to quite get to that threshold to pull in the chains. So for now, Dabs will be able to survive, but probably not going to feel comfortable staying in that area, which is a good instinct because Wukong is around here hunting for him. These mid laners, they really continue to fight one another down in this bot lane. As Urgot finalizes the kill on the top lane turret, making up a little bit of that gold. As Soul Reaver, oh, you're on this wrong side of the map, my friend. And he already used his W a moment ago, probably has it up pretty soon, and there it is. But he still has a long way to go, and it's going to be Nation hitting the knock up. Root gonna land as well, and with no jungler on the map, you gotta imagine that it's gonna be CPX making their way over to this Baron, trying to pick that one up when there's no ability to contest with Smite. But remember last game, Banana Bread, it wasn't a Smite that stole it. It was a Caitlyn Q, which they also don't have, but they do have an Ash W.
If CBXL steals this in some way, shape, or form, I will quit right now. Oh, quit this cast right now.
Yeah, don't. He's gone. All right.
He's gone though. He's gone though.
He left.
It's not going to come to fruition.
His award. I mean, I would have honestly. I think that was a reasonable thing to bet, even if he kept standing there, because still would be a very, 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 very low chance. You have to imagine.
Dubs is going for this.
Oh, and yep. That's going to be the team fight breaking out here just as my client wants to go nuts. And we can see here that it's already going to be a 0 for 0 so far. But Warlock, he wants to keep it all going as OTF trying to get away. But Swain, it feels like domination always shows up near the end of the team fight. And that is always where the fun stops. If you are Big Duck Entourage. And it's CPX, they're going to be able to pick up 2 kills there, and they're going to march down the bot lane. Remember, they have that Baron buff they were able to pick up recently. No Miracle Steal able to come through this time to elongate the game. So 27 minutes in, 9k gold lead for the blue side, trying to set up a play here is Socks at Thighs. Not going to happen. We'll be able to walk out of the Aatrox W for now, but this is the moment for Soul Reaver to try to look for the Miracle Engage. Soxathai is trying to follow up, but not very much health on this Ahri left, and it's going to be the kite back for now from CPX, but their health bars are still at up the point that tells me that they don't quite want to leave. All right, I mean, top lane, meanwhile, split push Zach, obviously. Trying to get some payback for game 1 still.
That was painful to watch. Like, you know, Dubs is teleporting in, and then the Rel proceeds to whiff every ounce of CC she has. That was very painful to watch. And then I think they overextend for it.
I think Riot was protecting me by having my client bug out at that one moment. Because
it's like all you need to hear is like you don't see nothing. All you hear is, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, I just thought from all the cooldowns that were expended, I was very surprised that no one had died. And there's Zach. I mean, this Zach, Giga carry 1v9 Zach. He's split pushing. He's picking up double kills. He does it all. And the Baron buff minions, they still have them for a few more seconds here at least, as Zach gonna find the engage onto multiple members here in the back line, knocking up the Urgot, knocking up the Ashe. They're gonna go down. Ghost is gonna follow, and you can only imagine that this is going to be the game here. I mean, I guess pretty low death timers, but they are going to stay in the base. They have these Baron buff minions. It seems like this is a long Baron buff, but it is always 5 minutes. So they're going to take that first one. Domination, he starts saying, I don't know, guys, maybe we should go back to the base, but no. Team says, we want to end it right here. They're so far ahead. 29 minutes in. I think it took probably a little bit longer than they would have wanted, but there's another team fight. And it just doesn't matter. I mean, you can see they're slapping them with their wallet. CPX, they're going to firmly plant themselves as a second place team here in the APL, winning this series against the third seed and bringing them some nice momentum heading in to the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. There isn't much to say about that game. I think they just their mentals pooped out a little bit, and they kind of started giving up.
It's true. I mean, I will say, you know, by the end, it definitely seemed dominant from CPX, but we saw the mental cracks from them as well in game 1, and even, you know, in some moments throughout definitely game 2 and even the third one. So they're going to have to tighten things up if they want to be the eventual APL champions, because, you know, a team like Dorado, unlikely to make some of those same mistakes and let them back into the game like Big Duck Entourage did. But I think Big Duck Entourage on the other side does give you some hope that you can take some games if things go right for you off of, these top teams. And, going into playoffs, they certainly will not feel like they have zero chance to advance.
Yeah, Conduit, they're gonna take this momentum into the playoffs. They're gonna be pretty much chilling because it's the way they do it is the first seed. So Dorado have pick between the 3rd and 4th, and then Conduit would get kind of like whatever else is left over from there. Right. So it's like right now, I think there's like a pretty big distinction between like the top 2. And then absolutely, yeah, when you go, it's a single elimination bracket. So I think they're going to be put onto opposite sides of the bracket.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, first, second. So if they're gonna meet, they're gonna. The only time they'll meet is if they both get into the finals.
Yeah, right.
Oh, that's like the thing with like anything below like diamond. It's not like that clear cut. It's like you never know. Really, anything can really happen, as we saw in game 1 of with the Trundle split pushing the game away. So it's like anything can really happen. There's nothing you can't really count out the 6th, 5th, and 4th seeds yet. So we're just gonna have to see when we get into the playoffs next week.
Absolutely. Well, that's going to be it for the stream. Glad we were able to get a full 3 games in for everybody tonight. I've been Elsa the Queen, Banana Bread. Thank you so much for being here and filling in. We appreciate that very much. And Matt, of course, as always on the production. We have been the Aegis Plat League. We'll catch you again next week for the playoffs. Going to be in best of 5 format. So it's going to have to strap in and bring your snacks, and we'll see you there next week. Hope you have a great rest of your night. Stay safe. See you next time.
Selfish that I'm happy as we pass the setting sun. Someday I'll be overcast, but you won't have to cry, 'cause we'll do the grieving. Well,